This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The best thing about the Seattle International Auto Show is everything. It's the best place to turn questions into answers. Compare the newest models from major manufacturers, gas power, hybrid, and EV, all under one roof. See them, touch them, drive them at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14th through 17th. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today. Hey, anyone know what channel the game's on? We know. Download the Sports on What app today and always know how to watch the game. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Subscribe today to start your 7-day free trial. Sports on What? We know.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, Phil Collins, known for the song In the Air Tonight and an unusually large forehead. He joined Genesis as their drummer as a teenager in 1970. Now, since then, Phil has had 19 top 40 songs, including 7 number 1 hits. His career has spanned over 50 years. Now, that said, in a recent interview, Phil's daughter, Emily and Paris actress Lily Collins, she confessed that she really didn't know that some of his biggest hits were actually, quote, real songs. See, it wasn't until she went to a Genesis concert that she realized that she knew a lot of his music. She just hadn't realized that it was him or that the songs were real. But whatever the case, still got to be pretty cool to find out that your father, or any close relative for that matter, was a prolific hitmaker and performer. But Lily's not alone. We have a list of a few other celebrity children that, let's just say, took a while to find out that their parents were, well, celebrities. But in those cases, the revelation is a cool thing. That's not always the case. Thanks to entities like Ancestry.com and 23andMe, people have been finding out all types of odd truths about their family, or about their friends' families, or about their co-workers' families. One woman, she found out that her high school boyfriend, they reconnected at the high school reunion. Yeah, it's also her biological brother. I'm sure that was fun. Now, as absurd as that might sound, there is a silver lining. Apparently, that happens so much that there are now support groups for this type of thing. Then there's the woman who did a DNA test and found out that she had 200 siblings, thanks to a single sperm donor who, by the way, sperm still being used today. Not a bad thing. She was just like, oh my God, I have 200 siblings. And it's not all bad. Just last week, a man who was kidnapped in 1951 at the age of 6, he was just reunited with his brother 79 years later. And what's crazy is when you look at the picture, they look almost identical. And then there's the story of the woman who temporarily lost custody of her 5th child because of a Costco salad. We'll explain that coming up. But look, man, as you go through life, you get a little bit older, people share secrets, or maybe you stumble upon their secrets. It can happen at work. A lot of times it's family. Sometimes your friends confide in you. And you go, man, I did not expect to hear that today. Good or bad? So that's what today's question is. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, family, or friend?
To be a part of the big show, call 206-803-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live, and send your emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
Yeah, let's just make a family member. You were right, Miles.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, Charles, away we go. Welcome to season 19, episode number 4,186. What a large and in charge program we have for you today.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed future repeat. Once again, we'll be joined by Taryn Daly and Steve Miggs from the Daily Miggs Morning Show. And we're going to sit and spin, and it's National Kiss Day today.
Sure, well, you're wearing a Kiss shirt.
Well, that's why I wore it. Or my Ace Frehley gear. Mm-hmm. Today, in honor of Kiss Day, we have the 10 best Kiss songs of all time coming up on the program.
All right.
Yeah.
Makes you be excited.
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as Kiss goes, nothing wrong with Kiss. If it's National Kiss Day,
there's a lot of things wrong with Kiss, but I am a Kiss apologist. It's like your kid. Like, I know if my kid effed up, but I still love them. I still got their back. The band Kiss, I got their back, but there was some bad music there toward the end, man.
Oh, there was a few.
Yeah,
let's put the S in sex.
That was so stupid.
It was just going to be X until Kiss came along.
Watch the video if you get the chance, man. Like I said, Paul Stanley, to his credit, he owned cheese, kind of like David Lee Roth owns cheese. Paul Stanley owns his cheesiness, and you watch the video. And like I said, the name of the song is Let's Put the X in Sex. Obviously, this is not a Pulitzer Prize winning lyric sheet here, but the fact that he keeps making that arm motion with the sex and trying to look sexy, you're like, wow,
yes. Man. Also, today, some updated locations on the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven Brewing. According to Ryan Castle, we have just reached an incredible milestone in the brief amount of time that the beer has been out there. As of today, we have 1,300 places that sell the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven Brewing. Thank you for buying it. Thank you for
That's why that happened.
To support our friends at the 3 local Fisher House locations. Man, oh man, we didn't know how the beer was going to do, but you know what? Black Raven, they came through with just an absolutely outstanding beer, on par with just about every other beer they make.
That they do, yes.
Exactly. So whatever style you're into, grab yourself a Black Raven, but be sure to pick up some Men's Room IPA as well. It's a fantastic beer. It is easy to drink. It'll go well in the winter months as well as the summer.
I have to pick up a pony keg of it tomorrow at Black Raven Brewery. My wife's like, hey, man, we need to go up there after the show for school events on Friday, but this is how I angle it. You see,
even the kids like it.
Even the kids love it. It's for the 8th grade class there. Those kids can drink. But more than that, we get to pick up a couple 6-packs for me. See, that's always my thing. Like, yeah, babe, I'll go up there. Let's do that. And the first thing I do is set aside a case for me. I want a case for home.
That's right.
I will get it for the school, but I want this for me as well.
We do have a few upcoming announcements concerning the Men's Room IPA as far as maybe one more world tour event before the end of the year coming around.
When are we getting an update? There's what I would consider to be a fairly major retailer out there.
There is.
They got it on the books. They have not put it out yet, and that's fine. Yeah. I just want to be able to say
I feel like somebody found it at one of
Did they?
Okay. We haven't gotten the official go-ahead.
Right.
But I believe it's on the shelf.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Not only that, next year will officially be our 20th year at KISW and in Seattle.
Don't say that out loud, man. It's like bragging about the green lights.
20th year that we will be in Seattle. So we've got some stuff planned for us. Our 20th year anniversary celebration, which will be all year round. We'll do it like a woman's birthday month.
This is our birthday year.
All year long. Yeah. Just annoying the living hell out of you with all kinds of fun stuff that we have planned for next year. So we're getting ever closer to that, too. But the planning is going on right now. We got some good stuff in store. And it all has to do with the Men's Room IPA from Black Raven. So we'll give you those announcements in time when we find everything else out. Keep in mind, we got a lot going on here with the radio station. The Halloween Hullabaloo is almost sold out. That's coming your way in just a few weeks on October the 13th, which is a Sunday night down at the Showwear Center in Kent. If you do not have those tickets, please pick them up now. Are you looking at the Kiss video?
That's all.
I've been just staring at this. One, Kiss needs the makeup. Two, this is wild, man.
You got to keep watching, man. You're missing some.
I know it's
some
dance
sweet
moves.
dance
Paul
moves.
Stanley's dance moves or something else.
Yes, they are.
I told you, man.
That is a fact. And today on the program, we're going to talk about surprising things that you found out about a coworker, a family member,
It's like Tom Jones.
or a friend. And we'll start with this story. As Lily Collins has shared her thoughts on Dad Phil Collins' music efforts, revealing she had no idea that some of the biggest hits were actually real songs that he sang.
That's the thing. It's not that you're unaware that he did them. She did not know they were real.
Yes. He's 73. He kicked off his career as a drummer for Genesis in 1970. He was a teenager at the time and went on to claim the lead singer role a few years later. He then pivoted to his own solo career in the 90s and in the late 80s, took home an Oscar for Best Original Song thanks to You'll Be in My Heart, which, of course, you know as being the song on the Tarzan soundtrack.
Baby.
I was going to say I'm not familiar with that one.
Yes. However, during appearance on...
Are you sure? Can you find it?
Let's see it.
I may have heard. Look, man, I didn't see the Tarzan movie, and I'm a Phil Collins apologist. Make no mistake, but he did have some of the sappier songs that just did not resonate in my brain so much.
So she was on Watch What Happens Live, and Lily explained that she wasn't initially familiar with his stint in Genesis. Despite having heard the songs when she was much younger, she knew some of the songs, did not know that her dad, which is amazing to me. Like, didn't Mike Rutherford never come around? Did Peter Gabriel ever, they don't want to go out to dinner? Nobody knows who the hell these people are?
I think, all right, so we have another list of celebrities, kids who just didn't realize that their parents were famous, and they all seem to have the same sentiment. And to me, this is a good side of parenting, is that we knew they went to work.
Right.
They came home from work, and just like any other parent, they fought about the dishes or whatever the hell's going on, but like, they never brought up their job. And most of these, I know that one.
I mean, how do you not know? Even
But
if
you would think that you would know. And some of the other kids are like, they went to school, or my mom dropped me off at school, and they said, like, yeah, I don't know, your mom's Gwyneth Paltrow. And they're like, yeah, how do you know? And they're like, Gwyneth Paltrow. But the kids were like, well, that's her name. And they had to explain. And I want to say one of those kids came home like, Mom, do you make movies? And they were like, that is all I've ever done. It just never got brought up.
Banger after banger after banger. Phil Collins also, one of my favorite one was Easy Lover with Philip Bailey.
You know
there's another good jam there for
I
you.
heard that this morning at the $16 sandwich store
Not
across
one
the
that gets
street.
a lot of airplay anymore, but that was a big hit back in the day. So when asked of her favorite Genesis song, the Emily in Paris actress had to take a second before sharing. The funny thing is I have these memories as a kid of songs. I didn't even know if they were actually real. They were kind of in my head as I was maybe in the womb. I don't know. But then when I went to my first Genesis concert that I actually remember as an adult, there were songs that came on and I went, oh my God, that's a real song. I thought that was just a melody in my head. It was really weird. It was confirmed. Lily was much quicker to offer up her favorite song from her dad's solo efforts, adding Probably in the Air Tonight. There's too many. And that's true. There's too many. Phil made his name as a drummer for the band briefly before leaving in 1996. He did reunite with the bandmates for a tour a decade later, and the group got back on the road once again a few years ago amid a series of Phil's health issues.
Yeah.
So that's, you only know what you know growing up. You'd have to think, though, that you would know that you're living in a much better environment, a much nicer neighborhood. What is being afforded to you as a child?
But how would you
is not
know if the school you go to, right? Because it's not like they sent them, to
look.
The school you went to, everyone there is rich. But as one of the celebrity kids said, their parents are just, high-profile lawyers and all this. So they had the stuff we had, the same cars, a pool, a big-ass house. And like, we didn't know.
Okay, all right. Well, the kids that I knew were rich. I knew exactly what their parents did growing up.
Sure, because
my buddy Brian, his dad was a surgeon. He was rich. My other buddy Joel, his dad owned two of the biggest clothing stores in the area, menswear. That was back before the Men's Warehouse of the world. He was kind of the suit and polo guy.
But if you're a kid, you don't know. You only know what you know. Which
but you should know
parents,
what your parents do for. Okay, he's a drummer.
That's all they had to say. One of them was like, I knew my parents were musicians. And I can't remember which kid said that. But when you find out who it is, you're like, yeah, now, you could say that.
With all fairness.
But to me, that's good parenting. They did not. Look, you could take like Will Smith or take Jay-Z, right? their kids from an early age. They wanted them to know that they're rich and bring you out on tour and sing on their album and all these things they never had to earn. So I do respect the fact that some of these celebrities, some of them anyway, the kids didn't know. So also, look, you don't need to.
Also, with Phil Collins, it's not leather pants and rock and roll jackets.
It's not
a guy
Lenny Kravitz.
that looks like a high school history teacher.
Yeah.
This does not look like someone who is, probably maybe undisputably as far as a solo artist in his time had more hits than just about anyone. I mean, of course, there's Whitney Houston. There's all these other people, but Phil Collins was right there.
He had 7 number 1 hits and 19 top 40 hits.
Which is insane. I mean,
and probably about a 25-year period.
Never a time when Phil Collins was not on the radio. And if you listen to all of those tunes, they are dark. They are not happy.
Yes.
You have to listen to the music.
The music
is
is fine.
Yeah.
But lyrically, what he's saying is the man went through hell.
Basically, so Lily Collins, I hate your mom. That's the basis of almost every song.
Or your stepmother, or whoever I'm dating.
Or the other mother.
Or whatever the deal is. Here's another one. Do we know who Jack Quaid is?
Yeah, he plays. He's on The Boys. He's Huey.
Right, that's
Huey.
That's Dennis Quaid's kid. Right?
Is that Dennis? Is that through Meg Ryan?
Yes, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
That is their son.
That is.
I have watched every single episode of that show except for the 2 that I have remaining on the final season, and I did not know. But now that it's been said to me, I'm like,
you see it.
I see it. I understand it. I'm like, that is a Quaid.
My wife told me we were watching the first season of The Boys a couple of years ago. We're watching it. She goes, "Do you know who that is?" And she asks me this all the time. She knows my answer is I have no effing idea.
Right.
And she said his name, and I said, "Okay, good for him." And she goes, "That's Randy Quaid's son." I'm like, and then I can see the resemblance. He was one of the people. Keep in mind, he's an actor now.
Yes.
He did not know what his mother and father did for a living. He had no idea.
Year and a half ago, I was down at in Palm Springs playing golf, not too far away from Los Angeles, and I'm playing a course where they're having a tournament in a couple of weeks. So they're very strict about you need to keep your cart on the cart path. You cannot drive on the grass.
All right.
You have to adhere to all the rules, and they have people driving around in their own golf carts to make sure that you are adhering to all the. If you drive out in the fairway, they'll kick your ass off the golf course because they have a big tournament on TV. It's coming in a few weeks. So who we playing behind? Frickin' Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is driving all over the golf course. He gives absolutely 0 Fs. He's wearing all black. He looks like Gary Player or Phil Mickelson, and he's driving everywhere, and the marshals don't say crap to them.
Nope.
So they come up to us and say, "Hey, man, you need to get that tire back on the cart path." And
Were you like, what about him?
Dennis Quaid over there is driving all over the goddamn golf course. And the guy looks at me, he's like, "Yeah, that's Dennis Quaid." And I'm like, "So what?"
Right.
It's the same thing.
It's still going to look bad on TV.
But that is, I guess he said he really didn't know that his parents are actors. He didn't really realize they were any different from his friends' parents who were lawyers. He told Entertainment Tonight, moment where I realized it was slightly different was when I came to school one day and I said, I was on the set, and they were like, "You were on the set?" I was like, "Oh, is that a thing?" They were like, "Yeah, that's cool." I think that was the moment I realized it was slightly different than what most parents do. I had a very normal childhood, considering all those things.
That's what I mean. My respect for those parents goes a long way. Because like I said, you can go the other way where it's like, "Hey, I made you a little superstar," and all that kind of crap. And like I said, see that with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Here's the Kardashians, all that kind of. And look, do your own thing. But I do respect parents to say, "Look, I am rich, I am famous," and not until my kid was a teenager did they figure this out. And it's only because their friends told them. Because one of them would drop their kid off at school, and all the other students are like, "Oh my God, is that your mom?" He's like, "Yeah, it's my frickin' mom. So what?"
Rumor Willis, nearly a teen before she realized just how bad Bruce Willis and Demi Moore were. I didn't know anything different. It's same thing if you're growing up learning a certain skill and someone else hasn't. She said, "I didn't realize, I guess it was a big deal. They were famous. We would go to Disneyland or something like that, and people would come up and try to take a photo, but I just did not understand what was going on." Now, here's an even more weird one. Pam Anderson's kids were too young to know about her Baywatch time. So Dylan and Brandon Lee did not figure out their mom was famous until they were teens themselves. I wonder if they did know that their dad was famous.
Probably because he had to go off on tour, and I'm sure she said, "Oh, well, he's playing with that band Motley Crue, and that's why he'll be back, in 7 months."
And they came up to me and they said, "Mom, are you Pamela Anderson?" And I said, "Yeah." And they were like, "What is that? Why are people saying these things? Are you Pamela Anderson for real?" This is their kids talking to their mother. Like, what is going on? And eventually she told him, "Yes, I'm Pam Anderson. I'm your mother."
That had to be a weirder thing. Because, like, look, with the Quaids, you go like, "Oh, my parents are famous." The Pamela Anderson, it's like, I was famous because I was hot, and I got my gig because I showed my boobs, basically, whatever the baseball game was. But all that stuff comes out. We have the sex tape. Like, I could see maybe you're not trying to sit down with your kids.
Netflix just did a Pam and Tommy. There's been a number of things. Tommy Lee has still been in Motley Crue all these years, all right? If I'm Dennis Quaid's kid or Meg Ryan, to be honest with you, not that they need to do anything, but I don't remember them doing anything past like 1992 or 3 or 4 that people remember.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I mean, Meg Ryan may be dating John Mellencamp. I read that one time. But other than that, you don't see your parents on television.
No.
Ever.
Not unless you watch something old.
Yeah, like, some movie channel that's showing old stuff. But other than that, what's the last thing? I mean, I can tell you what Randy Quaid's been in.
The news?
Yeah, I mean. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, family member, or friend? 206-803-ROCK.
It's hard to be a good parent, but of all the things you're doing to better your child's future, few are as important as keeping their vision sharp. MySight One Day are the only contact lenses that can correct and help protect your growing child's blurry vision from getting worse. Because while their future may be unclear, their vision shouldn't be. Learn more at MySight.com. MySight today, anything tomorrow. Ask your eye care practitioner if your child is a candidate for MySight One Day and review important safety information at MySight.com/safety.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Hey, check out I'm Listening. That is tomorrow night at 7 right here on The Rock. You can check it out on the Odyssey app, KISW.com, and right here on the old terrestrial radio at 99.9 KISW. It's a live 2-hour special. I believe this is the 8th year that I'm Listening has gone down, and it spreads awareness about mental health and the message that talk saves lives. Hosted by Carson Daly. We should give props to VD, our own veggie dog.
Absolutely, dude.
He has been the executive producer of this thing for years. He works tirelessly on this thing all year round. So does Hair Club. These guys...
364 days a year. This is not a joke.
They pour their heart into
this thing gets aired, they start working on next year's. Like the next day.
They do. And they do an incredible job just being able to talk about mental health and being able to express as far as the celebrities that come on, whether it's Dolly Parton this year, Billy Corgan, who was in town last night, Slash from Guns N' Roses, Katy Perry, all just basically talking about their experience and what they've been through.
Sure.
And just, it's an open forum to be able to talk about those issues and be in a comfortable and safe place. So that airs tomorrow night at 7, right here on The Rock. All right, a question, what surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? I think the one that blew my mind, when I was probably 15 or 16 years old, my grandfather started talking to me about his World War II experience. Mm-hmm. And to me, he talked a little bit about it, but I never really understood the gravity of what his job was, what the boat's mission was, and how basically they were the first in for everything in the South Pacific. Now, compared to being on a battleship or an aircraft carrier or in a submarine or whatever, these guys went out in one of the smallest boats in the United States Navy, and it was called a minesweeper.
Yep.
Now, the minesweeper was a wooden boat, and it was one of the only
so it didn't blow up.
Wooden boats in the fleet. Their job was to blaze the trail where all the other boats would follow and sweep all of the mines and then take them and put them on the deck of the boat. So at any given time, they would have 5 or 6, and it's exactly what you think. It's 5
big spiked ball.
It's a big spiked ball, 5 or 6 feet, that they would bring up on the deck, gently sit down, and then they would take them to an island.
How many minesweepers did they have per fleet? Because no single minesweeper is going to make a swath big enough for an entire fleet to go through safely.
But they were also unmarked. And a lot of the times, other battleships from the Japanese Navy, they would pass them.
Sure.
They would act like they were fishing boats. They did all kinds of different things.
Wouldn't you?
But they were always the first in. So they would get on the radio and tell everybody, all right, look, man, there's a fleet here. We're going to stop here. We're going to turn around.
Yeah.
We're going to do these things. We're going to sweep different areas. Maybe we'll come in more from the south if they're going to be here and re-strategize. Now, one thing that they did do within the Marshall Islands was they would take all of these mines and they would dry dock that damn thing on the beach, okay? Mm. And they would take all the mines and physically pick them up and they moved them to the middle of this atoll. All right. So that was their daily job because they had to get them off the boat. So they basically used this place as a dumping ground for all the mines, and they had frogs going down who would cut the lines because these things basically would sit about 10 to 15 feet below the surface of the water.
Right, they're anchored to the water and float.
So once you find these things, you go down and they cut them and they rise to the top. They pull them up. They stick them on the deck. All right. At any rate, so that's the primary job of their crew. Now, at some point in time, they started to wanted to test nuclear weapons. I don't know if they'd done it yet in the deserts of Nevada or Arizona or New Mexico or wherever. They'd blown up maybe one or two.
All right.
But they got the call on the radio that said, hey, we're going to do our first ever nuclear exercise. The island that you're putting these mines on, we're going to blow it up with a nuclear weapon, and we're going to test it to see what's going on. So they ordered the crew to go to where they were dropping them off, which was called the Bikini Atoll, and sweep the entire island to make sure that there was nothing on there that would... Basically, they were just doing kind of a sweep to see what was on the island. So my grandfather, he took a coconut, and that was the one thing that he wanted to get off the island because, he's from West Virginia. He's in the South Pacific. It's coconut, man.
Yeah.
He's been at sea. Now he's on an island. He's taking a freaking coconut, which he kept.
Wouldn't you?
Which is still in part of his possessions. It's an old, dried up, looks like a big fat prune football, right? But they were also there for the first explosion. And when that bomb went off, they had set them back a few miles back from the island. But their job was also then to determine the effects of what was going to happen when this bomb went off.
Always volunteer for that. And people say, let's see what the effects are.
Yeah. Now, they had different fleets, but, there's a bomber going overhead. They dropped that bomb, and they dropped it on the island, and he said as soon as he saw what happened, he knew that the war would be over.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Once he saw how big that explosion was and how big the mushroom cloud went up, and then you get hit with like a wall of, he said it was undescribable, what the force was that kind of hit them, and they held on to the boat, but it still blew a lot of those guys back and into the water. That was just from the explosion itself. Now comes the tsunami, all right? So then they basically they turned and they left, but then they had to turn the boat around and they had to go bow in to those waves head on so that the boat would not capsize.
Yeah.
So not only were they there for the initial explosion, but then when that tsunami started to spread, which was not as terrible as they thought it was going to be. It wasn't like a 30-foot or anything like that. It was about a 15 to 20-foot swell.
That's plenty.
But still pretty substantial. And he said once he saw like what was happening to the water, he'd never seen, because this is pretty crystal clear blue water.
Yeah.
It's not real deep there because of all the little islands and all the little atolls in the area. And he just explained, like, I was one of the first people to see a nuclear weapon go off, and then he showed me the coconut when I was at his house.
And here's the coconut.
And here's the coconut. And it was just like, it was riveting to me.
It is riveting, because that's the test of, like, the most dangerous weapon that's ever been created on this planet.
Right. And he knew when the attack, when they dropped them, he's a very religious man. He prayed to God because he knew what they had done, and he knew how bad it was going to be. They had not heard anything yet, but they knew for a fact that the damage was going to be
catastrophic,
horrific, right? So, and that weighed heavy on him. Like it really weighed heavy on him his entire life.
Yeah,
he never let that go because he just knew that he was part of something that was ultimately just a horrible thing. So it was a cool thing.
The
for
flip
him.
side, though, and I'm not trying to minimize it, but if you're at war, everything's going to be an atrocity. I mean, that, by the very nature of what conflict is, right? So you want to come up with the biggest, baddest thing, and it's awful, but it works.
Yeah.
Surrender was like, hey, we're done. We were just joshing around. Right. Sorry about Pearl Harbor. Hey, man, no more of that.
And my grandfather, as he told me, I wanted to serve the country. I wanted to be a part of what was going on, and I wanted to be in the Navy because I wanted to see the world if I could.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of West Virginia. I wanted to do all this. He's like, but then when you get in the middle of it and you start realizing how intense and how serious all these things are, and that your life every day is up in the air. It's just you don't know from one day to the next. One of those mines could have gone off on the boat. and so they were just in constant fear of their lives every day. And I'm just like, I'm like, how old were you? And he's like, 18.
Yeah, I was going to say probably what, 19, not even 20 yet?
19 years old. I'm just like, man, this is, I hope when I'm 18, 19 years old,
that's not my situation.
I don't have bombs on the deck of a boat someplace.
You know what the irony of all of that is? That's where they came up with the name the bikini for the bikini. All right. So look, most people are wearing one-piece bathing suits. The ladies wearing one-piece bathing suits back in the day, because that's how we've always rolled, right? And then you can do two pieces, but God forbid you show a belly button. And throughout history, the moments the belly buttons have been shown, it's a big historical moment, which is absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, the designer who finally established and got the bikini out and said, look, if ladies wear this on the beach, it's going to be provocative. So he wanted to come up with a provocative name. And because of those tests on the Bikini Atoll, that is why he picked the name Bikini.
So
that is exactly why, because it evoked something that said, look, you might have a problem with it, but we're letting you know by the name. It's like naming your kid Adolf.
Right.
We understand the point you're trying to make here.
They were allowed to do one pass through after the explosion to see what happened to the island, or what was left of the island. But their instructions were to go over that thing or wherever it was or around it, what was left, as fast as you can, and then you were going to head due north because the wind was blowing west to east.
And all the radiation.
They knew there was going to be nuclear fallout. So basically, when they went over the top, and he's like, there was nothing. It was gone. It was just a cloud of dark, dirty water.
Right.
And he's like, it was black. He's like, it was like nothing in the area. The whole thing was just gone. And then they booked their asses north as fast as they possibly could because they didn't want all the radiation to rain down on the boats.
Yes.
So that was also part of it. Then they had to basically just escape the fallout from the bomb. And I'm like, and this was all in one day. He's like, one afternoon.
Wow, man.
I'm just like, that's a hell of a mission.
That's a lot. Did you ever bitch about anything in front of him after that?
Not really, no.
How was your day? Better than yours, bro.
No.
I can guarantee you.
And his favorite thing was a vanilla ice shake, milkshake. He'd be just like, hey, man, let's go get a vanilla milkshake. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Ken. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
A couple months ago, my mom came to me and said her and her aunt were looking through some paperwork and found out that my great-grandmother's grandfather was the war chief that fought off the U.S. Army at Point Defiance.
For real? Wow, man.
Yeah, and it was also him or one of his sons that pioneered Ording.
Pioneered what now?
Ording.
Oh, Ording. Oh, gotcha.
Now, is there any residual that rains down to the family or any kind of acknowledgement or just a plaque somewhere that has like the family name?
Do you get free zoo passes?
No, we're just finding out. There's a myth on my grandmother's side, my great-grandmother's side, that one of my family members helped build Meeker Mansion, and because of discrepancy between him and Mr. Meeker, my family name never got put on the list. So, like, the tribe still, embraces us. We're still part of it, but we don't get those benefits as everybody else because we were never put on the list.
Yeah.
Some things never change.
Yeah, contractors.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's how it comes
I'll be
down.
there at 7. And you get the phone call at 7:45. Maybe tomorrow.
The funniest part is my mom and my brother look the part, but I have too much Scottish in my blood, and I'm just a white dude with a red beard.
So do you find that people don't believe you necessarily when you bring this up? Like, okay, redhead.
My mom or my brother is my relative.
Has it always been that way?
Yeah. I have friends, early when I was a teenager, I show up to a house with all of our friends, and I had a Slurpee, and my brother was there. It's hot. He's like, hey, man, let me get a sip of that. So I hand it to him, and they're like, oh, are you guys together? I was like, dude, it's my brother.
Are you guys together?
And then my mom had to show up, and they're like, oh, yeah, Jerry's your kid. Who's this white boy?
So it's just always that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, always. And my son, he's huge. He looks like a white boy, Viking, white, blonde hair, but his facial features are native. So he's a really pretty dude.
Oh, are you jealous of him? All the chicks, I'm guess, checking him out?
No, I'm really jealous because he got certified through Norway. He's going to go to a Norwegian festival there and be able to put his name on the tree of lineage.
Wow.
Of Viking lineage.
Damn.
Through both sides
crazy.
of his family.
That's crazy.
All right, Vikings and natives, man, you got it going on.
Yeah.
Odd for a redhead, but hey, You got the
not the Minnesota Vikings,
right?
No, his grandmother on his mother's side is Swiss royalty as well. And the grandfather is deep Germany. So we're all about that. And then my mom showed in with the native, and here we are.
All right, man. Damn, kind of impressive.
That is.
You know, it's funny. He brings up that no one thinks he's related to his family because he's a redhead. They have native blood. When I was in, it was 4th and 5th grade, just for 2 years at my elementary school. We lived in upstate New York, all right? So these teachers would come up to me. So I'd been there for a year. And then at the beginning of the next school year, a couple of different teachers that I kind of knew, they hadn't been my teacher directly, but they were like, hey, we met your brother. And I go, okay. I just assumed they're talking about Adrian, right? No big deal, but maybe 3 or 4 different teachers through the course of this week kept saying that. And finally, I'm like, man, my brother's in high school. I don't know how you guys met him, but whatever. They're like, no, your younger brother. I'm like, I don't have a younger brother. They said, Raymond Hill, only other black kid in the school. His last name was Hill, and he's 2 grades behind me.
Did you ever meet him?
I eventually met him, but I kept hearing this for probably the first 6 weeks of school, and he kept explaining, it is not my brother. But, you know, people couldn't move past it. They're like, well, he's black and has the last name Hill. I'm like, well, we're not the only one. It's not like a black family. You pick a last name, and no one else can have it. I'm like, it's not my brother. So I finally met him one day. We were in the cafeteria.
See, I thought the Black Hills were in South Dakota. Or is it North Dakota? Where is that?
We're everywhere, man. Yeah. So I meet him in the cafeteria one year, and we immediately walk up to each other, and he's like, you're my big brother. I'm like, you're my little brother. I said, are you telling people the same thing I am? He's like, I keep telling people, like, you're not my brother. And up until then, we had never even seen each other on the school property. So when they saw us talking in the cafeteria.
Oh, now you're real brothers.
Well, keep in mind, these are the same teachers that we had explained we don't know each other. The teachers come up and they're like, well, there you guys are. And we're like, hey, man, those guys got a little heavier than you meant it in this moment, but us guys, we're not related. We're talking about the fact that I can't believe your freaking last name is Hill, you know? And he's like, yeah, man, I didn't know. So he's like, as soon as I saw you, I'm like, oh.
But that had to start a little bit of a bond, though, as far as just like, I mean, you know, in a weird way.
I mean, a little bit. You know what I mean? We always acknowledge it. But when you're in 4th grade, you're not trying to hang out with 2nd graders, bro. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. But we would acknowledge each other. If we saw
trust me, when Montgomery rips off a run, man, he plows people over. I'm like, yeah,
brother.
That guy. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Chris?
Hello.
Hola.
Hola.
So, Chris, what strange thing did you find out about someone?
Well, we were sitting at my neighbor and another neighbor, my neighbor's son. We were all sitting outside a couple of years ago, and I just got curious, and I said, how come you guys have different last names, him and his son? And they both looked at each other. And I'm like, hey, that's weird. One said, do you want to tell her? And I looked at the dad and I said, okay. And he goes, I was in witness protection because I testified against John Gotti. My eyes got big and I'm like, what?
Now, do you believe him? Because I don't imagine that at any point that I'm in witness protection, even if it's post-witness protection, that I'm going to bring that up.
It was... They had gotten out of it because the son wanted to see his kids. So anyway, that whole thing. But I was like, are you serious? And he was telling me stories that he still had a bullet in his leg. And I mean, he was like right under Sammy the Bull. And it blew my mind.
From what I understand, witness protection, they used to have satellite operations where they would just, have a family, but that guy was in charge of everything. But his folks still lived there. But there were pockets of places around the country where these guys would be relocated. Rochester, New York.
I was going to say,
believe it or not, is one of those places.
Oh, I know.
So is the northern portion of West Virginia, Clarksburg, Morgantown, and Fairmont, because they have one of the biggest Italian festivals on the East Coast in West Virginia, based on a lot of these things. Las Vegas before it blew up.
Before it became
the
worst place to put them now, but yeah.
And the Pacific Northwest. So there were Arizona in the desert. They had a number of places that they would relocate people, but they all kind of put them close to each other in different pockets.
What's weird is, looking back, I realized I knew a lot of... I don't know if they're witness protection or if there's families of the mob. Because the other thing the mob would do, depending what they were gearing up to do, whatever big business thing they were going to do in New York City, they would send their families to upstate New York just to not be near the business, just in case there's any reciprocation for their actions. So, but my mother, one of the people that she didn't work with him, but he was a client of hers. She was a buyer for him. And he was an open mobster, had this big goon that walked around, just had a stack of cash, never used credit card. Long story short, there was one year where the guy he thanked my mother for always being cool and being cordial. And here's the guy, I want one thing for my wife, one thing for my girlfriend. Make sure the wrapping is different so I don't give it to the wrong person. So he wanted to buy her a big-ass bottle of perfume. And she goes, no, you don't need to do that. I'm sure my husband wouldn't find it funny. Your husband? She was like, you know what, go ahead, just buy it. Yeah, sure. It's fine. It's cool. Go ahead, buy it.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith from the Men's Room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
Are you looking for the powerful roar of a work truck, the quiet performance of an EV, or the creature comforts of a hybrid SUV? Whatever you need, the best place to see them, touch them, and drive them is at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Test drives, demonstrations, and information all under one roof. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14 through 17. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today.
Hey, what's the easiest way to find out what channel the game's on? Sports on What? Subscribe to the Sports on What app and quickly find the channel for every provider. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Download today. 99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
A couple of quick texts here. I like this one. It says, we found out that my coworker was smoking crack in the bathroom. Apparently, she was doing it for months since we hired her. And then one day, she was walking and it fell out of her back pocket on her way back to the welding station. She immediately denied that it was hers, but she was escorted out of the building.
Man, there's something about those little bags.
But then so they go, but the same thing happened to me at another one of my jobs, except it was my supervisor in the bathroom snorting coke. And no, it was not diet.
I never find like a big old bag of weed. It's always like on the sidewalk. You look down, there's that little tiny bag, and you look down and you go, ugh.
I remember years ago, we're in the other building, somebody found a little baggie of cocaine in the bathroom, and they're like, I don't know whose this is. So I just claimed ownership. I was certainly couldn't find whose it was. It wasn't mine, but I'm like, oh, man, I must have dropped it.
Let me take that to test it out.
Well, I got a quick scolding, like, hey, man, you got it. I'm like, yeah, my bad. It wasn't mine, but I'm like, if you basically are telling me you're giving out free coke, I'm taking it. Somebody here says the craziest thing I ever found out about a family member is that my dad's stepsister's husband is a descendant of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, even more famous than that, in Frederick, Maryland, there is the Francis Scott Key Mall that has, a bonton, and it's a very nice mall. So,
have you read all the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner?
It goes on more than you think.
There are a total of 4 verses. So we sing the first verse. That is what we know as the national anthem. I will not recite them all because I don't feel like wasting that much time, but like it kind of starts with this proud thing, hey, man. Then you can tell, like, his mood changed a little bit as he's writing it because it starts taking on more of a tone of F the Brits. Then he's like, and if I find out that any slaves fought for the British, we're going to kill them. Then he kind of comes back to just kind of S on the Brits a little more, but it still does end with land of the free and the home of the brave.
And because he was basically a Baltimore native, he also talks crap on the Steelers.
Yes, he points that out.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Hank. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
I had a relative that when Charles Manson passed away, he had to go take custody of the body and guard it until the courts made a decision with it.
Why did he have to take custody of the body?
He worked in law enforcement. So
okay.
Yeah, so when Charles Manson passed away, they didn't want to keep him there at the coroner's office for fear that their followers were going to try to take the body. So they took the body. The public didn't know. They took the body to a secluded place that used to be a jail. That jail still had a functioning freezer, and they put him in the freezer until they made a decision with the body.
All right, here's my question. Say and obviously you don't want followers breaking in, but say they stole Charles Manson's body. Now what? I mean, you got a corpse that's going to rot. He's still dead. There's nothing you're going to do to bring him back. I mean, congratulations.
Oh, look. He's still,
I wish someone would break in my house and steal my trash. I'd be like, okay.
He's still alive, but they moved maybe a week or two ago Gary Ridgway from wherever he was. I'm not sure if he was in Walla Walla, Tri-Cities, I don't know where the hell they had him. Somewhere around the eastern part of the state. But they moved him downtown.
Yeah.
So they moved him basically across the street from us. Now, when I say to you that you've never seen a police car on the road in the last 2 or 3 years in Seattle, every single one of them were out front. I mean, you'd think that it was the Joker from back. I can't even think of the most evil villain
I would
that could possibly escape.
It was someone who's done something decent, like the leader of a nation, whether it be ours or a visiting dignitary. And you go like, man, what is all this? And they go, oh, they're moving Gary Ridgway. I'm like, the man who killed multiple people. Yeah. And they go, yeah. I'm like, why?
What's the detail for? In other words, like, how old is he? In the 70s? So what is he going to do?
Because someone might kill him?
Get out and beat somebody with a cane? I mean, what the hell's that guy going to do? I mean, I know what he's done. I'm just saying.
I don't think they're worried about him. I think they're worried about someone doing something to him, which was my argument of, wait,
that could be.
We're spending the money because this guy that killed multiple people, and he gets this kind of police detail. Fellas, maybe it's just me. You commit that kind of crime, I don't give a rat's ass. Like that dumbass I was out there earlier today with this amplifier microphone beats his ass to death with it. The man's a murderer.
Yes.
How did you get like a 15-car cop detail? And the thing you've done to quote-unquote earn that is murder multiple people.
Like, what did the Caravan look like on 90?
I mean, like, Jesus Christ.
Was it 50? Like, look, if I'm speeding, I'm going 75 miles an hour, and I see like 50 cop cars rolling up behind me, I'm like, oh, no.
But I think it's someone that matters, not someone that doesn't. This is the exact opposite for police detail. Like, look, man, I'll tell you what, you're going to ride on the back of a cop motorcycle, and someone recognizes your ass and takes you out. That's on you, because one thing you do to avoid that, don't murder people.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Dave. Welcome to the men's room.
How are you?
Hola. Doing good, Dave. Thanks, man.
Well, I got kind of a same story about your granddad with the coconut.
Yeah.
My former boss that I worked with for 20 years was in the Navy, and he was at that same area when they blew that island up. So he was on a ship, and they had everybody come up on deck, and it was dark. I says, all right, put your eyes in the crook of your elbow, and that's about when they blew the island up. He says you could see the bones on his arm, and once you moved your arm away, it was daylight, and it never turned dark again.
Damn.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, hopefully no one will ever have to see anything like that again.
I mean, did those guys have any idea what... I mean, for our age group, we know what it would entail because we've seen all the footage, we've heard about it, but, we quote-unquote haven't tested this yet in front of someone. Did they have, not the scientists, but I mean any of the soldiers, any of the sailors, any of these guys, did they have any idea what they're going to see? Or did they just say, a big explosion?
Yeah, big bomb.
Big explosion, yeah. Yeah, and he's up there in the 90s and still going great.
Okay.
All right, well, good. At least made it to his 90s, man. Yeah, when you look at the testing, and we've all seen the footage.
They have footage of it, yeah.
But what's different is, one, I was not physically there, and two, you say, man, this is the first time that the non-confidential people actually saw what this thing can do. That just had to be, because you've seen explosions, but nothing like that.
My buddy Chad, his dad was about the same age as my grandfather, just a few years younger than him.
All right.
So he had Chad when he was probably in his late to mid 50s, and he had
surprise.
His mom was much younger. Yeah, correct.
Surprise.
All the things. But he was on that ship that sank, and they had the shark situation. So he had
Indiana.
He had
was it the Indiana?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
He had that tattoo on his forearm that you could not read because it was so green
and old
and just kind of blurred together. But he had it for his friends that he knew personally who had passed on that ship as well. But he did get picked up by another boat. And made it, obviously.
Did you ever ask him?
No.
I mean, but just even his thoughts about,
Chad actually just told me, he's like, man, this is the deal, but you can't. Sometimes my dad gets very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he just sits there and, he won't say much, but other times he's very vocal and jovial, just, understand this, but do not bring it up. So that
ended up being kind of the point of the entire movie of Jaws, right? So you watch the movie
you
Jaws.
mean based on the captain.
Right, and it's about a shark that's eating people, and you want to get rid of the shark, and then when they're having, they get drunk, and they have their heart-to-heart about why this particular captain is so determined to get the shark, and he brings up the USS Indianapolis, and just the way the actor conveyed that story. I remember being a kid. I did not know it was a real story as a kid. I thought it was just for the movie. But even when he told it and I'm a child, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's maybe 10 years later. My parents are like, oh, that was a real thing, man. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah. I mean, to me, that's like the ultimate nightmare. I'm already not a fan of deep water, but then you say, well, not just that, but you're floating around in your life jacket and your friends are getting picked off one by one, and there's a feeding frenzy under your feet.
Yeah.
I was like, that, in no way is that okay.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Matthew. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So what surprised me at work is I worked with a guy for 6 months, and I was the only one on the crew that didn't know he only had one eye.
How did you not piece together that he had one eye? Did he always wear sunglasses or something?
No, I never really focused in on the one funny eye that didn't move and was a different color and a different shape and everything. And the work we do, too, is even more surprising because you kind of need depth perception for what we do.
What do you do?
We climb trees.
Okay. Was he your supervisor?
No. He was a junior climber.
Okay. All right. Well, he did keep an eye out for you, right?
Well, when he can. It depends on what side you're on.
Yeah. Did he ever say how he lost his eye?
One guy on the crew thinks he lost it with a BB gun when he was a kid.
All right. That makes sense.
It does. Proving the old adage that your mom always said, you put someone's eye out. That's just not the story you want to tell.
No. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Maria. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi, how's it going?
Hola. Good, Maria. Thank you.
So this one time, when I was helping my friend clean out their house and donate stuff, they said there was a box in the back room and their bedroom. So after going into the back room and grabbing the first box, I went into their room and saw a huge white dildo, bigger than my hand and forearm.
Wow.
And he's gay, so I guess it's a butt plug. But
well, I would assume.
I doubt it. If it's that big.
And I pretended I didn't go in there yet and found them in their living room with the first box in my hands. And then I asked them if they wanted to show me what I needed to get out of their room and just pretend I didn't see it. And as we were about to go in their room, they said, "Oh, hold on," and then threw a blanket over it before I entered. And to this day, I don't think they know that I saw it.
Did they listen to this show?
I'm not sure. They might know now.
You're going to find out.
I think so. A lot of good times, I'm sure.
I'm sure it did.
You know, what it could tell.
So,
were you that shocked by it?
Hello.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You broke up.
I'm saying, were you that shocked by it, or were you like, yeah, I figured?
Well, I was thinking that's bigger than anything I've ever put in my body, so good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, little loose back there.
Jeez,
I remember the first time I saw one of those. I didn't know what it was, but my buddy, we were teenagers, and he was cat sitting for the lady that lived next to him. So anyway, I go in there one day. We're feeding the cats. No big deal. But he's like, "Hey, man, you got to see this. This dude, Kevin." And he opens the bottom drawer, and it was a massive double-sided dildo. Mm-hmm. I mean, this thing was, and we just sat there and stared at it, and it was crazy because the lady, you know, she gets back from vacation. I'd see her 3 days a week, whatever. Most demure, sweet thing in the world. And that's what blew her mind. Not that she had a sex toy, but just the size of it, what it was for. Yeah. I mean, all these strap-ons and stuff. But when you talk to her, it sounded like a Betty White were a librarian. Right. Right. That's the way she came off. And I just never saw her the same again. I saw her in a much better light. I'm like, I like her. She gives no vibe that says, "Look, give it to me hard and give it to me deep." But we saw that thing. I'm like, she's not joking around, man. Like,
Mike, I know Steve has heard this story, but this was one that happened to me later in life where I found out. I believe I was living here at the time, so it'd been a number of years. Okay, but 4 or 5 houses down from where I grew up in West Virginia. It was a small little neighborhood. Probably no more than 30 houses. But down the road, a family had 2 adoptive kids. They had a little boy and a little girl. Now, they were probably 3 or 4 years younger than me. But as things were at that time, when you walked home from school, you always walked in a group. Based on the fact that your parents preferred it for safety. Sure. There were some dogs that would meet you down there that were friendly dogs who would walk, you know, with their parents and everything else. But it was more about the fact of just to keep everybody safe from being attacked by a couple of dogs who were a little bit wild in the neighborhood. Right. Gotcha. Right? So that was the basic thing. So you knew every single kid, whether you went to school in their class or not. Now, I was, this one girl was particularly, for whatever reason, she was attached to me as far as me protecting her. So she would always walk close to me, and I knew her very well. She younger
or same grade?
She was younger. She was probably younger by a couple of years. But I always looked out for her because she just seemed to be one of those people who was a little bit more timid, a little bit more fragile. So I was like, all right, look, man, we got Sarah, you know, no big deal. Sarah goes on to go to college, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure what happened was Sarah's father passed away. Sarah's father, and she was adopted, was the king of Sierra Leone, the country. All right.
What?
He's the king. The reason that she was adopted is because the king, shockingly, might have stepped outside of his royal marriage and had a child.
A king of a country?
Outside of wedlock. The reason that she ended up in the United States and in West Virginia was because she was put up for adoption.
In West Virginia?
I know that she really.
Right.
She was put up for adoption in West Virginia.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll take
so
right.
when she
take her to Florida or California, New York.
By the way, Mike, at this point in time, Sarah had already moved on to Los Angeles. She graduated with a broadcast communication degree.
All right.
She was working in Hollywood. She is an actress. Mm-hmm. She's appearing on some small roles and things like that.
As a princess should.
At this point in time, like coming to America, she finds out that she is the heir to the throne of Sierra Leone. Now, okay, so I am not kidding.
He didn't have any other kids?
He might have had children, but she is in that lineage and in that line. She is a part of that family. Right. She is the king's daughter. She is also from America. They consider her more royalty than they do his.
So just the education and everything else comes along with it, right?
All of those things. So I get a couple of emails every year on clean water projects that she's now involved in, and she is involved head first in this. She still lives in the United States, but she goes.
Is she the queen of Sierra Leone?
I believe right now she is just the princess. Let me look up right now and find out what her deal is.
Princess of success.
No, I'm not kidding you. I mean, it's like...
I mean, it's feel like if you're queen, you should probably at least live in the country.
Sure, but she wouldn't be queen until
Mom
her,
dies, right?
Until her dad.
Oh, now she's an American philanthropist. But yeah, I mean, she's that's there.
She's looking for
princess.
a king?
She's a princess.
Still a princess.
She's a princess.
All right.
See, I should have asked her out. Then I could be a prince.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine Miles Montgomery, the Prince of Sierra Leone.
Here she is with Carol. Here she is with
thing.
Carol Burnett at the Emmys. I mean, Jesus whiz, woman.
Miles, time for you to be the prince that she desires.
Come on, man.
Well, she sends me emails every. I wonder if I should follow her.
Don your white steed and sweep her off her feet, young prince.
Man, go be the king of Sierra Leone.
Go get it, man.
All right,
go be a king. You got an N.
Every picture, she's in Africa. West
King
Africa?
Miles Montgomery.
Sierra Leone.
Of Sierra Leone.
Then my uncle.
No one would believe your ID.
No.
They look at your white ass and be like, "You're trying to tell me you're the king."
Well, trust me, the first email I sent
You're the monarch of Sierra Leone.
The first email I sent her, I was like, "This is BS." Right. I'm like, "You're so full of crap." She's like, "I swear to God." She's like, "I swear to God, I'm a princess."
Miles, get after that.
I keep writing. I'm like, "You're not a frickin' princess. I'm happy for your success in Hollywood, but you ain't no frickin' princess."
Hey guys, look, everyone listening, we got to do something to make Miles the king.
We got to hook this up
of Sierra Leone.
Like, we should make like a royal Tinder.
Yes. Look, man. You used to protect her when she was a kid.
Miles
she
Montgomery,
appreciates that.
Seeking princesses.
Yeah. Come on, man.
I would love to hang out with her.
Yes, sir. She would, yeah.
She is.
I'd like to hang out with you.
She's not hard on the eyes. She's
a princess. I'm sure you would love to hang out.
She's got her own money. Probably got a friend named Simmy. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. The men's room returns with Miles and Thrill.
All right, so we'll be joined momentarily by the Daily Mix Morning Show. Taryn Daly and C Mix. Today is National or International Kiss Day. Not sure exactly.
I don't know.
So we have the 10 best Kiss songs of all time. It's coming up right after emails on our question, what surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Mike and I have an answer to that. That we know the future king of Sierra Leone. Look, man, the text wants you to do it, Miles.
They do, Miles.
Reach out to this woman.
When's the last time you talked to this gal?
I think I was working at McDowell's.
Okay.
No.
So you still have an in, is what you're saying?
No.
But she still emails you.
I talked to her in person probably when we were teenagers.
If she didn't care, she wouldn't still talk to you, Miles.
Was she at the high school reunion a couple years ago?
No, because we're a couple years apart.
Oh, God, that's right.
But
did she go to her other high school reunion?
We email back and forth. I don't know if she knows my kid is in West Africa as well. But
why don't you bring it up?
Maybe I can get like a
Christmas.
free dinner at the Wendy's.
You guys have common ground here. You're both from West Virginia.
Hey, you want to open the first Wendy's in Sierra Leone?
Have you tried?
We always said Mozambique, but now we got an N in Sierra Leone. Come on, man.
That's not good because they got a food shortage going on.
God. That's why Wendy's would be massive.
You tried Dave's Double Stack.
Come on. I talked to my daughter. I'm going to
try Miles's meat too.
I'm going to go see her over the. I'm going to go see her over the Christmas holidays and all that crap, Hanukkah. And I go. Hey, man, so I got all these shots, man. It made me feel like just absolutely loopy for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, just so I know, man, what would you recommend that I kind of dig into and eat? And, she gave me a couple suggestions, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So then I asked my other kid who'd been there. And I'm like, all right, seriously, on the straight up, because she's telling me all this. Well, you should try this native dish, this thing that. I'm like, all right, I'll try.
Right.
But what am I really going to eat? She's like, look, Dad, just have the crocodile bites and the gazelle burgers.
Okay.
If you could just eat those. She's like, you'll be fine. I was like, gazelle burger. She's like, that's kind of what I ate the whole time.
Well,
like,
now
all
you
right.
could take this gal out, you two, just share conversation over a gazelle burger.
Sure.
Why not? Be a king
Come
of
on,
Sierra
man.
Leone.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Hook it up. Everybody wants you to do
Don't
it.
pea foot around this thing, man. Let's go get this done.
You know what? I'm gonna track her down. I'm gonna send her an email
Yes.
and say, "Do you remember James Miles Montgomery? This guy protected you from vicious dogs."
Yeah. And he's been pining after you.
She definitely knows.
He has no idea
Hey,
what
I know
you're up
she
to.
remembers me because she keeps asking me for money. All right?
It's no different than being married,
all right,
babe.
here's your clean water tablet money. Here you go.
Yeah, to marry. Still gonna ask you for money.
Let's go, Miles.
Come on.
Man, you can leave this life behind. Go,
That's
live,
right,
a, go live a king.
Live in the bush.
Life.
You know what I mean?
Live in the bush as a king. We'll call you the Bush King.
We'll just call you from time to time. Get you updates on the show.
King Bush.
Much more popular in the 70s. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Steve, we have got to just play Love
I
Doctor on this.
know.
Man.
I
You've got to
know.
go matchmaker here.
Look,
I don't want this to happen.
I don't
so
normally
bad.
get involved in matchmaking at all. I do
'Cause
not
she's still
care
single.
about your
No,
personal life.
I just looked at her Instagram. I'm pretty sure she has kids.
It's Instagram.
Either that or
you.
she's hanging out with
You
other
got
people.
kids? You're
You
single,
got
so
kids?
what?
They can be
So
step
what?
siblings.
Single.
Your
Plenty of
daughters would
people
love to
have.
be princess heiresses.
Right. Little blonde kids taking over Sierra Leone. The natives would love it.
They could open up. They could open
It
up.
would go over so well.
Bring the whole white culture there. You know what I mean? Open up a yoga studio.
Lululemon.
Right. Exactly.
This is called mayonnaise.
We put it on everything.
On everything.
Have you been to Arby's? Oh my!
Let me show you
Let me
horsey
teach you
sauce.
all the things white people do.
This is called paddleball.
Right. You never pickleball. You know when you walk from place to place, we call that hiking.
We come up with cute names for everything.
That's right.
You get your own water bottle, and then you walk to the top of a mountain, and you turn around and you walk home.
You see, we run for fun around here.
That's what we do in the Pacific Northwest.
You say you're looking for shelter. We call it camping.
We go to the top of the mountain, we look around, we go, that's fun, and we walk back down to the parking lot. That's what white people do.
And then we go to the KFC.
Somebody, there's pictures of her with Idris Elba, RDJ,
I know.
Meryl
I
freaking
know.
Streep.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
Hey,
endless.
And Miles Montgomery.
Oprah Winfrey. Who else did you just
Maybe they could teach everyone cross country skiing. I don't know.
Miles, I will not rest until we get
things
this
white
connected.
people like the backboard.
I guarantee you.
Dude, they just have a basketball bucket there. They don't
Assist.
have a backboard. That's for the white people, you see.
Can you send her a you up email?
You up?
Yeah. Yo, you up?
I do have the WhatsApp.
I mean, with the time change, you don't know. It's a
Right.
legitimate question.
Just open the dialogue, man. Let's see. Let's test
sure.
these
You
waters.
don't know what's going to happen, Miles. You might find love again. And you
could.
just happen to be the king of Sierra Leone.
I can have a big sword on my side.
Yeah.
That would be badass.
Let's
What a
go.
man riding in on an elephant.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's a once in a lifetime
Prince
opportunity.
Montgomery.
Can you take an elephant through the Arby's drive-through? We're going to find out.
You're the king.
You're the
yes.
king. You can do whatever the hell
Yes, you
want
can.
to
Give him a couple peanuts, and I want a cheddar bacon.
do. That would work if you got a Five Guys out there because they got the peanut fries.
See, that's what we're saying, man. Just think this through. Say, look, you got to think of all the things that I'm going to bring to the country that you don't
right.
have right now.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
If Dennis Quaid can drive on the greens of the golf course, you certainly, as king of Sierra Leone, can ride a goddamn elephant through the Arby's
I'm gonna make
drive-thru.
my white kids wear slinkies on their neck. You know what I mean?
Is that the right country?
Just bend over and breastfeed without having to do anything.
I was even have to bend over.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
Just right down
Kids
there.
crawling
right
and
down
eating.
there at knee level. What?
All hail your king.
That is what they will scream from the mountaintops, man.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Jared. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Today we learned cornhole.
So, a few years ago, I'm working for this construction company, and we get a new guy by the name of Andrew. Don't think much about it, hard worker, a little bit of a temper, but, it's construction. Guys get heated in the moment. but he worked for us for a few months and disappeared. Didn't hear anything back from him. And it wasn't until like a year plus later that I found out that he is responsible for the Oakley Carlson case. He was the father of the missing child.
Oh, God.
Damn. That's wild.
Oh, yeah. It caught me by surprise. I didn't even know until, like, my coworker was like, did you see that they made a documentary about him? And I was just like, what? There's a documentary about this guy? I know, it's just like, it was wild.
Well, Jared, you should be surprised. You should never look at someone and be like, hey, nice to meet you. You look like you're missing a child. I mean, like,
yeah.
I would be surprised anytime someone tells me that. That's fair.
Yep.
As opposed, I'm not surprised at all.
Okay.
Wow. That's kind of heavy duty.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Whoops. Hello, Lulu. Welcome to the men's room.
Hi.
Hola.
So I used to be a CNA.
Used to be a what?
A nurse assistant. I used to be a CNA, a nurse assistant.
Okay.
And I took care of a lady that would constantly smoke in her room. And I sat down and talked to her for a while, and she actually lived through World War II, hid in a cave with her siblings, and was rescued by American soldiers.
Well, that's heavy duty.
What country was she in?
Germany.
Ah, okay.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So, and she ended up marrying one of the soldiers that rescued her.
How long did she say she was in the cave?
I think it was almost a year.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
And based on World War II,
like 8 or 9 months.
How old do you think this woman was when she was hiding out in the cave?
Oh, she was in her teens or 20s, I'm sure.
Okay. Was she tattooed on her arm? Do you know that on her forearm?
No.
Okay.
No,
She was hiding.
No.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah, she was hiding. She didn't go into any of the camps or anything.
All right.
So she married one of the rescuers and I guess resettled here in the States, and that was the deal?
Yes. Yep.
That's a pretty wild journey.
So they got married in Germany. They got married here in the U.S., and then they had to have another marriage ceremony.
Wait, they got married in Germany, then they got married here. Why did they need a third marriage ceremony?
Normally after 3, you're done.
Yeah, even if it's the same person.
Sure.
I mean, at that point, I was lost. I don't know.
Okay.
But, and then her 16-year-old son died in a car accident like a week after getting his driver's license or whatever.
Wow, she had a hell of a life. That's crazy.
Did she say anything positive?
Yeah,
oh my gosh. This woman, she was amazing. I mean, I would come into her room singing Good Morning Sunshine, and she was a hell of a lady.
Okay.
You know, she walked into a room singing. I mean, I'd have had to burn you with my cigarette butt. I'm just that guy. I used to work with a woman. Same thing. Looking back, she was very kind. She was a manager at the restaurant, but she'd get there maybe 30 minutes after we did. But we opened at 6 a.m., so everybody's tired. You've been prepping since like 4:30, and this woman buzzed in every morning, just, good morning. Mm-hmm. We called her Snow White because she looked like Snow White. She sounded like Snow White. And kind of like, I don't know, if you're an adult, Barney makes you homicidal based on his overwhelming positivity. She was like that. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a very kind person. Why everyone here wants to beat you, I don't know.
Yeah. When my kid's great-grandfather was a prisoner of war. So he was tatted on the inside of his arm, and so was his wife. So great-grandmother as well. When they at the funeral in New Jersey, when they did the grave thing, there was representatives there from the Jewish delegation of prisoners of war.
Yeah,
that stuff is serious. I mean, when you especially at the funeral of someone who passes away, and also family members are responsible for filling the grave back in.
Wait, what?
Yeah, kind of partially.
The whole thing?
Yeah,
How much?
A lot. I don't know. There were 4 of us just throwing dirt on it, and it was weird, man. I mean, it was a heavy-duty deal.
This is like your ex-wife's family, right?
Yes, I just remember.
Then how do you...
I remember it because I'm a dude, and I'm there, and I'm a lending hand. But I just remember being shaken at the end of it, like, God, this is just too much. Like, how about we have a party?
Right.
And celebrate life. This is just really dark.
And no offense, that's not fit for a king.
No.
Someone here just says, text line, if Miles does not message her, I'm going to message her myself and say something like, quote, hey, I think I met you through my friend Miles Montgomery years ago. Everyone said, we're trying to make this happen, Miles.
Yeah.
You'll be royalty.
What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Terry. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
Yeah, so my first ex-wife found out about 2 years into our marriage that her great-great-great-grandfather was John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, damn.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was like, so I need to start sleeping with one eye open or what? You know?
Well, just don't go to the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
It just depends what side of the fence you're on. Mm-hmm. That's all. Like, this family takes it real serious. Real serious. What was her response when you find that out?
She was it was like ho-hum. It was like, like no big deal to her. So
I guess that's fair enough.
I mean, it's
hard
back
to
too.
hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Happened in 1865.
I know the guy.
Yeah, like it has nothing to do with me, man.
Yeah.
Hell, that is kind of weird, though. Is that something you brag about to people?
Well, I mean, it's
not a
definitely-
brag, but
no.
like historically speaking, I'm related to this person, whether they were awful or not. Especially with that much. If you're his son, maybe you don't bring it up much. But if this much time's passed, like
I'll change the name. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Patty. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
Hola.
Hey. So we had a fellow at our work that started. He spent 17 years in prison, got out 5 years later. We hired him. Gambling problem, drinking problem. He left work one day to go to the doctor, and the next day on the news we saw his picture. He hang on. He robbed a bank, and then he came back to work and clocked in like nothing happened.
Well, it's probably the best way to do it.
So he really missed being in jail.
I guess. Well, I guess so. But then he robbed our warehouse that he was running.
Jeez.
And tried to blame it on somebody else. So the cops, he had to take the stuff to the cops, the info, because obviously they had like a be on the lookout thing. And I guess 3 days later they arrested him. We couldn't find him, so we looked at the jail roster at King County, and boom, he was there.
He probably is still in there. How long ago was this?
Actually, it was in February. He just came to our warehouse last week. They lowered his bail from $500,000 to $100,000, and so his mom paid the money and put her house up. He has an ankle monitor, and he asked for his job back.
He did.
Okay,
The answer was no.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, yeah, that's probably the best call. I mean, not that you want to give someone a second chance, but I think that.
Well, he got $3,000 from the bank, and if you would have seen the news and turned him in, you would get $10,000. So he didn't do very swell.
That's kind of weird. Like, you stole $3,000, but if you can tip us off to who it is, we'll give you $10,000. Huh?
Absolutely, Crime Stoppers at its best.
Okay, that is wild. Yeah, because you typically, I don't know, you just kind of feel like when you go to work, you're not really working with anybody that's, I don't know, capable of those things. Maybe. Depending on the job. I mean,
okay, yes, depending on the job. So in my younger days, I had jobs where I would have been surprised if any of them were not into maybe not a bank robber, but like, I know when you leave here, you don't go directly home, and whatever you do between here and home, there's no way it's legal. There's just no way. By the way, bad news.
What's that?
Got an update on Sierra Leone.
Oh, no.
Sierra Leone has an elected president.
Oh, no more king.
No more king.
Ah, man. Well, look, man, you can be a president.
No, it doesn't matter now. Doesn't matter.
You can be the prime minister of England, but no one cares. They only care about Prince Charles.
Right, exactly.
So, see, it's bigger. Hell, Harry just got $10 million for no reason other than being born in.
So it's the thing. You could still be a king, right? You're just not in charge of the country.
Who cares if you get the money?
Right. What does
do they still have kings then? If they have an elected president,
well, King Charles, right?
Well, sure.
In the United Kingdom, but wait, they have a prime minister.
Right, that's not a president.
It's the same thing. It just depends what you want to call it. We call it president because we did not want to call it prime minister. So there's no difference. But like, what could the king get done? Not because people are being charitable and say, hey, he's asking us, but like, what rule could he put down that the prime minister couldn't say, nah, Chuck, we're not doing that? Like, do they actually carry any weight beyond the ceremonial thing? And it's the thing, and people buy magnets, and they visit Buckingham Palace, right? But in the end, are you making any decision that makes any difference truly in the life of anyone in the UK?
If you're a king, if Burger King said you are the Burger King, I'd be like, thanks, man, I'm a king.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care who's in charge. One way or another, you're still king, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Chuck's on money now.
Yeah.
There's that.
You got to be able to assert yourself on one thing.
You're on a level, though, like King James. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you're in a different tier.
Right.
So.
How many people can say they're king?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, but what can you do?
I mean, they're the ones that give people names like sir and stuff.
To me,
That's
it's
a
like
big
this.
deal.
If you say you're a doctor and it's not a medical doctor, nobody cares. I don't say that as an offense, but my uncle will insist that you call him Dr. Hill.
Right.
He pissed my mom off this years ago, and she's like, he's a goddamn botanist. He couldn't cure the goddamn cold. Doctor my ass. Right? So maybe she poisoned my brain with that, but she's like, look.
She's not going to give him a break,
said this before. No. If you're on a plane and somebody says this is a doctor and his ass jumps up, I'm like, dude, unless they drop their Venus flytrap, you're not going to.
What if you're a dentist on the plane? You're really a doctor.
You're a doctor.
You're DDS. Do you jump up?
You should. Is there a doctor?
I mean, you know anesthesia. You don't have any. But
I feel like
if you have a PhD
would.
in philosophy, you are a doctor.
Right.
We need a doctor. Right. I jump up and they say, man, can you do a tourniquet? I sure can.
Give him some nitrous. Give him some nitrous. Calm him down. Whatever you need to do. What surprising thing did you find out about a coworker, a family member, or a friend? 206-803-ROCK.
Hello, Jason. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
So back in the 90s up in Whatcom County, my brother-in-law was building a derby car for the Linden Fair, and a bunch of his friends were helping him, and I ended up meeting a guy through him that was a mechanic, became my mechanic. He had a girlfriend with a 14-year-old daughter. He ended up raping and murdering the 14-year-old girl. She went to Fairhaven Middle School. I was actually at his house a couple weeks before he murdered her. He was working on my Scirocco, and she had walked out of the house. And I had never met his girlfriend or even knew that he had a girlfriend and a stepdaughter. And she walked out, and he started screaming at her to get back in the house. Have you ever been in one of those situations that's, like, really awkward to be the bystander?
Yes.
And it was really absolutely awkward. And then, like, 2 weeks later, my brother-in-law tells me, he's like, well, we're going out to look for his stepdaughter, and my brother-in-law was actually riding around in his van that was a mechanic's van and had made a comment on a bunch of the red shop rags you get if you're a mechanic.
Yeah.
He had a pile of them in the back that was all red, and my brother-in-law asked him about them. He's like, oh, I did a transmission job the other day, and he didn't. He had actually murdered her, and he was trying to lead a search down the wrong way. They eventually found her. He actually ended up turning himself in, and he had gotten the death sentence. But before he ended up on death row, Inslee came along and canceled the death penalty. So to my knowledge, he's still in prison. But I think it was like 98 or something. And like I said, it was in Whatcom County. And when everything started to unfold, turns out he had a bunch of aliases. Don't know what else he did, but that was really close to home, because I probably had him working on my car like 4 or 5 times since I'd met him. And then that last time was when I went over there, and that was just really awkward.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, at least your best encounter, the worst encounter with a murderer is that it was awkward. Wow. Good Lord, man.
Crazy stories today. That's fact.
By the way, just real quick, just so you know, now I don't know how this works in Sierra Leone.
Oh, my God.
All right, well, no, look, man, we're trying to work this out for you. So we brought up, like, King Charles. Like, what the hell can he actually do? So someone here says, in England, the Queen and King, they do have ultimate power, but they choose to stay out of politics.
Not Sierra Leone, you know. We're putting in a win.
Right.
Man, I'm saying once royalty, always royalty.
right.
Like, you are still the doggone
I'm going to get on money, the whole deal.
I want to face on money.
Taryn Daly, Steve Mix from the Daily Mix Morning Show coming up. We will sit and spin with the 10 best Kiss songs of all times. And we've got your emails coming up next in the men's room at KISW.com.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith from the men's room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
It's hard to be a good parent, but of all the things you're doing to better your child's future, few are as important as keeping their vision sharp. MySight One Day are the only contact lenses that can correct and help protect your growing child's blurry vision from getting worse. Because while their future may be unclear, their vision shouldn't be. Learn more at MySight.com. MySight today, anything tomorrow. Ask your eye care practitioner if your child is a candidate for MySight One Day and review important safety information at MySight.com/safety.
Are you a bartender that dreads the phrase, hey, can you put the game on? At Sports on What, we understand your pain and we're here to help. Over-the-air, satellite, cable, or streaming, Sports on What knows what channel the game is on, and you can too. Follow your favorite teams, set alerts, and filter by provider to get the results you need. Stop wasting time searching and never miss kickoff again. Just download the Sports on What app, and you'll always know how to watch the game. Available for Android and iOS. Start your 7-day free trial when you download Sports on What and subscribe today.
The men's room returns with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Turn Daily Steve Mix from Daily Mix Morning Show coming up with the 10 best Kiss songs of all times. But first, time for a few emails from the men's room at KISW.com. Coming from our question, guys. About 2 months ago, my brother informed me that our stepbrother has a child. She's about 3 or so. Big surprise to us because our stepbrother came out of the closet at 19. Come to find out, he was a donor for his friends who were lesbians and wanted a baby. He never speaks about her to us. Occasionally, I'll post a story with her in it, but that's about it. Thanks, guys. That from Frankie J.
Huh, okay.
Well, hopefully he can still have some time with his daughter in life. Guys, went to high school in the early 80s, extremely white school. One of the few black people was a girl named Linda, very attractive, super smart, who I met in drama. I knew her dad was in the Army. A few years after high school, started hearing about this Army general in the news. He was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff named Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Heard of him.
My uncle, I knew that he worked for the Pentagon, at least for as long as I was alive. He made this big announcement that he was going to retire. And my mother, we lived in Baltimore at the time, the retirement's in D.C., and she's like, hey, just go down to this thing. And look, I loved my uncle, but I'm still like, man, I'm going to go to a retirement party. So we go to this thing, and it's like this fancy-ass hotel. One of the people wishing him good luck on his journey was freaking Colin Powell. And so, I looked at my mother, I'm nudging her like, is that like Colin Powell? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, what does Archie do? That was his name, Archie. She's like, oh, he's in charge of all civilian personnel for the Pentagon in Europe. I had no idea. I did not know that he was a high-ranking dude.
How many tens of thousands of people is that?
I don't, and you wouldn't know. And I always hate to use Bill Cosby, so think Huxtable, Dr. Huxtable from the Cosby Show. Mm-hmm. That was kind of his personality, right? He was always jovial, never really got mad. If he was mad at you, it was more of a kind of funny learning lesson. You would have no idea that that's what he did. I was like, holy S, man.
On to the birthdays, guys. I want to wish a happy birthday to Serena Mofo. Can I please have the Dirty German tell her how they're going to break in that new hip she has? Lots of love, guys. That from Nathan, Ashlyn, I guess, and Nolan. Sorry, Ashlyn.
That's a long name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, if you're going in to get your hip replaced, just go ahead and see if you can get 2 for 1, because we're going to work it out tonight.
Yeah, I got to get both good. Joel, today's my husband Jesse's 35th birthday. He has waited years for a birthday to fall on a weekday for a shout-out. He converted me to being a listener a decade ago. Even our 4-year-old makes sure that we do not turn off KISW.
Yeah. All right.
That's all right. He is a mountain climbing, rock hounding, guitar playing, stay-at-home dad, and we love him so much. So happy birthday from the little one and me. Could he please get a big old bong rip, a cut that bitch off, and the Dirty German talking about climbing mountains? Thanks, guys. That from Christina.
Cut that bitch off. Next caller.
Yeah, if you like mountain climbing so much, I'll tell you what you do. Start at the mossy cottage down in the valley, then work your way up Mount Christina. And after you've conquered that, tell her that she needs to go hard rock climbing.
Guys, I want to wish my husband, J.D. Batman, a very happy birthday. He turns another year younger today. He is my absolute everything, my today, my tomorrow, forever and always.
Oh, Lord.
He'd like a fart montage and the Dirty German talking about what is going to happen to him tonight. Maybe a bong rip. Thank you, guys, and rock on. That's from the wife, Terry.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, if you do it right, she'll make all of those noises out of her front side. Yeah, that's 2 minutes later. You thought it was over. You're cuddling in bed. There's one more.
Sorry.
All right, guys, here you go.
Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, to you, to you.
Ya's a Dirty Germans brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Yeah, she's still at it.
A couple of extra emails here. Bud's Training. This is from the story we brought you, the random one yesterday over the guys on the Tufts lacrosse team that attempted the Navy SEAL training regimen for 45 minutes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Turns out 12 of them went to the hospital. I read CNN today. It says that a couple of them are still in there and they're not doing very well.
Not doing really well. Like, did they go in serious
some
condition?
kind of muscle toxic thing that's released that just...
yeah. If you do too much or whatever, your muscles release something bad.
It's not good. Guys, yesterday you asked if you'd rather do 45 minutes of SEAL training or hike the Appalachian Trail.
Hike.
Keep in mind, with Buds, you have to swim, do pull-ups, run, etc. But these guys are tired and hungry. When I was in boot camp, we had SEALs beat us up once a week or two to do their workouts. It was not fun. But those guys have it way worse. That from Brian. And as we did the math on this, we're trying to figure out, is there a member of the staff that could maybe do one of the things and get the job done?
We're not talking about our show. We're talking everyone on these airwaves on this station if we did like a relay race, right?
So I want to say it was 4 miles in 31 minutes, which is around a 7-minute mile. Now, I've seen Castle run sub-8s.
Right.
But I don't know that he could, I don't know if you could bang, that's a different way to run than the kind of running that you do when you're running a race. I mean, unless you normally don't book it that fast unless you're in the front and you're going to try to win it.
Of course.
So I don't know. Anybody could do that. Steve, you got to what? 39 push-ups today?
They do 60.
60.
I'm at 39.
The pull-ups are 10.
I could do that.
You could do 10 pull-ups.
I could do 10 pull-ups.
I could probably do 4 or 5 and
Really?
then be gassed after that. I probably could get the sit-ups done.
I could do all 10 pull-ups, but after doing pull-ups, maybe bang out 30 push-ups, realistically.
But they do that all back-to-back. Then there's like a swim involved, too, which is
That's Ted.
I can't.
We're pushing Ted's ass in the water. He's swimming that.
It was in meters, so I'm not sure what that equates to, but either way.
Yeah, so that was our best bet to pull off just the 45-minute version, not the full
no
training.
way.
Yeah.
One more email. Olabachola's a near-death experience. When I was 9 years old, my dad had to jump in and pull me out of a swimming pool after my older sister dared me to jump into the deep end. He worked at IBM at the time and was still in his suit after work. A few years later, while eating pepperoni pizzas at Petro's in Vancouver, Washington, my mom had to give me the Heimlich because I was trying to eat too much pizza too fast. Fortunately, she was a nurse and had training on the procedure. Good times, guys. That from Scott in Bend, Oregon.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance, too, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, coming up in just minutes, we'll drink and toast for the shot of the day. And we do have your headlines on the way at 5:50. But first, quick check on Mike Hogg and some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
Thank you, Miles. According to doctors, intermittent sobriety is now trending.
Was that called sleep?
Right.
I was like, what is intermittent when I'm not drunk?
I think it's the same as intermittent fasting where you focus on not drinking for an extended
So, like, if you go to
period of
work
time.
and you're sober.
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
You get like a 2 or 3 hour window in the evening, and then you go to sleep. You're sober
right.
again.
Intermittent sobriety is just when you don't drink.
Yeah.
That's just called the weekdays for most. That's just called Monday and Tuesday. That's just called Tuesday morning.
Yes. I'll give you Tuesday morning. Yes.
A new study found that severe obesity is on the rise in the U.S.
How is that? When they say most of the country's obese.
Well, I believe
are they
a lot
getting
of it,
bigger?
No, the people are just settling in still. A lot of people did not lose their pandemic weight.
Correct.
And so it's just
a lot of people
continuing.
built bad habits during the pandemic.
Yeah. A lot of people don't go into the office and work and move their body and stay at home.
That's a fact.
No.
And just a little bit of workout every day, man, is all you got to do. Like, I'm doing laps out here.
Planking.
Doing some planking out here.
Yep.
Just a little bit's all you got to do. You know what? One of the headlines that I read earlier this year was about the fart walk and how the health benefits of that.
The fart walk?
Basically, after dinner, go out and just go for a 20-minute walk.
And just fart it out?
You bet.
All
and
right.
it gets stuff in your gut moving. They call it a fart walk because as you walk, things get moving.
Take the dog out.
That's what I was going to say. You say what you want about it being a dog owner, but man, you're up in the morning. You better get that dog out, and you better do it at night a couple more times.
And I'll say, man,
and you always feel better, even if it's raining when you come back. You're like, I'm glad I went out and took a walk.
I've started looking forward to it. My wife and I, man, we'll leave the dog behind because we've already walked him for the night.
Right.
And so then it's just the two of us enjoying each other's company. We get the talking out. You bet.
Now,
just blowing in the wind.
It does suck when it's dark at 4, but other than that,
and it's rainy outside. So granted, I haven't gotten to that point just yet, but I still enjoy it. It's a good time. A new luxury space balloon has just completed a flight test.
I saw that. They went up, like 100,000 feet, I believe.
Yeah.
Just on the edge of the atmosphere.
Right.
Which, for those of us who live on Earth, plenty far. and then descended safely back into the ocean.
But that makes a little bit more sense as far as, like the SpaceX, the civilian space tourism, as it were.
Sure.
I feel like the balloon is the better.
I would agree with that.
Kind of mode there.
There are fewer things to go wrong.
Right.
Meaning elimination of fuel and weight and all that. And I want to say the capsule holds 8 people. And if you have $125,000 and you just don't know what to do with it,
no kidding,
you can buy a seat. Well, they want to start it next year. And next year will be here sooner than not.
And that's the part that kills me. Like, I know it costs a lot to make these things happen, but do we really got to charge, a house payment?
They, at least initially, because they need to cover their cost of starting up.
Yeah, you're right.
And they already booked it. I'm going to say it was 22, 32 reservations already.
I mean, maybe before we die, we'll get,
maybe
civilian casual space.
Civilian. Can we just get Coach? Can we get the Spirit Airline of space travel? I don't care if there's a bat in the cabin.
Right.
It's fine.
I'll give you a rent payment. Call it good enough for me, huh? Thrill, what celebratory week is this?
Oh, the week?
Yeah.
It is, the week leading up to my father's birthday.
That is exactly right. It's Sea Otter Awareness Week, and it's time for us to be aware.
Sea Otter Awareness Week?
Yeah.
Okay.
You knew that.
Of course I did.
But let's be aware.
The Men's Room Top 10. The Men's Room Top 10.
10 facts about the cute little cuddly varmint, the sea otter. You might not be aware of the inspirational impact this foul fur fiend has had on society. For example, Alanis Morissette was inspired to write her massive hit because of sea otters. Maybe you've heard her song, You Oughter Know.
Wow.
And if you're looking to have an otter for dinner, just melt butter in a saucepan, add the otter, curry powder to taste, and finely chopped rosemary. Stir over medium heat until the otter is cooked through and completely irresistible. That ought to do it. Dig in.
Got it. You ought to know.
You know what? I will take this moment to say thank you to VD, who is currently in New York right now, getting ready for
doing
I'm
serious
Listening.
stuff.
That's right, getting ready for I'm Listening, which will broadcast tomorrow evening on these very
7 o'clock,
airwaves.
that's right.
So him taking the time out of his day to do something stupid like this, I appreciate that. Be sure to tune into I'm Listening tomorrow night. So here's some facts about sea otters during Sea Otter Awareness
I want to
Week.
see if there's anything here I don't know about sea otters.
So you guys might not have known this, but otters might look soft and cuddly, but they remain dangerous wild animals.
Yeah, they're related to muskrats and wolverines.
They have a strong teeth and a powerful bite, so whether you see an otter on land or at sea, be sure to maintain a safe distance of at least 5 kayak lengths or 60 feet from the
Well,
otter.
they'll still
They're
chase
still
your
going to
ass
come up
down.
and they're going to come to you.
Yeah.
And that was what the river otters. And probably sea otters are like 3 times as big.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. That's a different kind of approach.
And again, if I'm in the doggone water, that otter's going to do whatever it wants to me.
That
The
is
only way to
exactly
avoid an
correct.
otter is to get out of the friggin' water.
Not even the otters on land that attacked that woman in.
They chased her down, man.
I can't remember. But
She wasn't in the water.
No, it's what I'm saying.
She's jogging.
Yes.
Otter.
They swam they came out of the lake and.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Hill, the champion of Big Dummy over here. Do you know what a group of resting otters is called?
Oh, give me a second. A float.
You're so
raft,
close.
a
It
raft.
is a raft.
Okay,
You're
I was like, I
absolutely
knew
right.
it was one of those two.
Otters love to rest in groups. Researchers have seen concentrations of over 1,000 otters floating together to keep from drifting away from each other. Sea otters will wrap themselves up in seaweed, forming something that resembles a raft.
How long do you think it took river otters to figure out, hey, man, maybe we should hold hands?
Right.
Because
Let's
last
just
night,
stick
25
around.
of us went to bed. There's 7 of us left.
The otter is one of the few animals that use tools.
What do
They do because they open up whatever they're eating, like clams or whatever they dig for.
So the sea otter's tool of choice, typically a rock that can be used as a hammer or an anvil to break open hard-shelled prey. It says, ever wonder where otters actually store these tools for safekeeping? They have a loose patch of skin under their armpit to store both the food that they foraged and their rock to crack it open.
Ooh, armpit food.
Yeah, and so they'll just float on their back, and then they'll put whatever food is on there, and they'll just beat the hell out of it right there. And that's how they
Otters
open it up.
basically eat the way we eat room service.
Or crabs.
You know, laying on your back, just chilling
Yeah.
out.
You know, but they're kind of like at a crab shack where they give you the little hammer.
Oh, yeah.
crack that thing open. They say they are an essential keystone species. Again, these are facts about otters that you might not have known during Sea Otter Awareness Week.
What are you if you're keystone?
A keystone species is a species that is critical to how an ecosystem functions because it has large-scale effects on the communities in which it lives. Along the Pacific coast, sea otters help control the sea urchin population. Fewer sea urchins, in turn, help prevent kelp forests from being overgrazed. In California, research has found that sea otters also enhance seagrass beds.
Well, hopefully they eat enough of that sea urchin where we don't have it on a sushi menu. That is terrible stuff.
Is it? I've never had it, and I don't know that I will.
Every animal in the ocean loves the taste of sea urchin.
They do.
So if you pick one up, very gingerly, might I, and turn it over, if you're in a cove with fish,
yeah,
you've got like an aquarium in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. All the fish that come out of the woodwork to eat the bottom of that thing.
I'll be scrolling TikToks or Reels or something like that, and I inevitably end up with somebody who's cleaning up some sort of a seabed, and he's got a hook on there that he's pulling sea urchins off the bottom, and he's bagging them up to then take them out of there. And like Miles is saying, these fish are all swarming up on him until finally the last one, he'll pull one over, crack it open, and then he'll just let them feed on everything inside there. They love it.
Did you see the video of the octopus punching fish this morning?
No, but that sounds funny.
It's awesome.
Bitch. Facts about sea otters during Sea Otter Awareness Week. They can have a pup any time of the year. Southern sea otters breed and pup year-round, while northern sea otter pups in Alaska are usually born in the spring. A newborn pup needs constant attention and will stay with its mother for 6 months until it develops survival skills. Says fun fact, an otter pup's fur is so dense that it can't dive underwater until it gets its adult fur.
Damn.
This comes in handy when mothers leave their pups safely floating on top of the water surface.
The environment doesn't change that much as far as the temperature of the water. Now, it is right now in Alaska, it's getting crazy. But typically, up until lately, I mean, the water was only fluctuating about 8 degrees where they lived in the Northwest.
Gotcha.
In the ocean. So, it's one season for them.
Yeah. And then on that ticket, sea otters have the thickest fur of any animal.
Damn that Sheila.
Their fur, oh, come on. Their fur contains between 600,000 to 1 million hair follicles per square inch.
Whoa.
Unlike most other marine mammals, otters lack a blubber layer. Instead, they depend on their dense water-resistant fur to provide insulation.
You need one of those really expensive razors, like 4 blades.
Yeah, the Floby ain't got nothing on that.
God, can you imagine?
Shaving an otter?
Right. Animal cruelty aside, how hard would it be to doggone shave an otter?
I'm looking it up right now. The hairless otter. Every time we do this with an animal, man. Hold on. Hairless otter.
Hairless otter. Hairless animals in general that are supposed to have hair, especially the bear. Like, everybody brings up the bear, which is the stuff of nightmares if you look that up, a hairless bear. But I feel like anything.
Yeah, the hairless otter, not quite as cute.
No.
Yeah, you would not let that bitch touch it.
Does it look like a wet otter that's just kind of got its fur all matted down?
No, it still looks like an otter. Honestly, it's just a bold, like a hairless cat.
Okay.
You recognize that it's a cat, but it still looks significally different than the cute thing you want to pet.
If you're a hairless bear, are you still allowed to wear leather?
You can wear chaps.
It just doesn't look the same.
No, it doesn't.
You can wear the collar, I guess.
Doggone it, Miles. Sea otters eat 25% of their body weight in food every day. Again, it's Sea Otter Awareness Week, and we're learning a little bit about sea otters. Their diet includes sea urchins, crabs, mussels, and clams, which they're known to crack open with a rock and eat while floating in the water. To find food, they may occasionally dive as deep as 250 feet.
You said what percent? 50%?
25%.
25%.
Quarter of their body weight in food every day.
I'd have to sit down and eat just under 50 pounds of food.
But that's living the life.
Day.
Yeah.
It is.
U.S. and international law protects threatened sea otters. Hunted to the edge of extinction by fur traders in the 18th and 19th centuries, the few remaining sea otters were first protected by the International Fur Seal Treaty in 1911. Maybe that's why they're so mean. They kind of have a little vendetta against us for having, hunted them to near extinction. Most sea otters call Alaska home, as Miles was saying. Approximately 90% of the world's sea otters live in coastal Alaska. Many live in the water surrounding public lands, including Kodiak National Wildlife Refuge, Glacier Bay National Park, Kenai Fjords National Park. Southern sea otters range along the mainland coastline of California from San Mateo County and Santa Barbara.
Do you think they tell all the Alaskan otters that they're from California when they talk?
They have to.
I'm a California
I'm sorry.
otter.
I'm normally
You're down
from California.
Here, our tacos are much better.
Where's the good sea urchins?
Right.
These are all filthy. I'm sorry. I'm from California.
We do it different down there.
Really good sea
soy
urchins.
milk.
Otters have some interesting relatives. They're a part of the Mustelidae family. I'm sure I screwed that up, which is a family of carnivorous mammals that includes skunks, weasels, wolverines, and badgers.
Oh, they got all the players.
They are the largest member of the weasel family, yet the smallest marine mammal in North America.
Oh, okay.
Well, when you're competing against whales, I mean...
That's true.
I think they can only call themselves weasels.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to say that to them. I'm an otter, damn it.
I'm an otter. Come on.
You a sea weasel.
And then the last fact that you might not have known about otters during Sea Otter Awareness Week. 13 different species exist around the globe. The U.S. is home to two species, the sea otter and the North American river otter. River otters are much smaller, averaging 10 to 30 pounds, with a cylindrical body and a small head. Sea otters weigh more, around 45 to 90 pounds, with large, furry faces. So there you go. Stop it. That's the facts about sea otters. Residents of Manchester were unsettled by a strange sight floating down a local river, Miles.
What was floating down the river there?
Tell you all about it at 5:50.
Thank you, sir. Headlines are coming up at 5:50. In the meantime, let's get a contestant on the line for Profile This at 206-803-ROCK. Have we made it to drinking time?
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith from the Men's Room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
The best thing about the Seattle International Auto Show is everything. It's the best place to turn questions into answers. Compare the newest models from major manufacturers, gas power, hybrid, and EV, all under one roof. See them, touch them, drive them at the Seattle International Auto Show, presented by BECU. Live at Lumen Field Event Center, Thursday through Sunday, November 14th through 17th. Discover your drive. For tickets and info, visit SeattleAutoShow.com today.
Hey, anyone know what channel the game's on? We know. Download the Sports on What app today and always know how to watch the game. Satellite, cable, or streaming. Sports on What knows the channel the game is on, and you can too. Subscribe today to start your 7-day free trial. Sports on What? We know.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Good time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Stephen Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. And today we chose 62-year-old Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of Great Britain. And earlier today, Starmer was in Liverpool, England, giving a speech at the United Kingdom Labour Party conference. Now, as he was articulating his vision for children in Britain, he was interrupted by someone in the audience asking him about his stance on Gaza. And the prime minister, to his credit, he didn't miss a beat. He addressed the question, saying, quote, I call again for restraint and de-escalation at the border between Lebanon and Israel. I call again for all parties to step back from the brink. But I'll let you hear his final comment on the topic in his own words, as only he could say it.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
I'll play that for you again in case you didn't quite catch the little flub there.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Yeah, homeboy slipped up and called the hostages sausages, which made me think, who could forget the infamous 1979 Iran sausage crisis? Or 1985 when hijackers detained 147 sausages on TWA Flight 847. Let's not forget the sausages held for 12 days in India in 1994, most recently in May of 2000, when several sausages were held captive for 56 days.
I think our man was just hungry.
I'm guessing so, man. That's a big scoop.
This was an early speech he made.
The immediate release of the sausages. Hostages. My bad.
I need some sausages.
You can't hear it, but my stomach is growling fiercely.
You think somebody was cooking them in the back or something like that?
I just...
My beans and sausage.
Yeah. The immediate return of the sausages. Hostages. My bad.
Sorry.
So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy.
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bichola.
The Men's Room presents
In the Space.
Profile This.
And Stephen Throwhill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. Hello, John. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
All right, John. As our very own Mike Hawk would say, you understand how your game is played?
Yes, I do.
All right, your choices today, we have Bite Me. In other words, what did somebody find in their food? Interior Decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone. And finally today, Animalize This, where you guess the animal that's responsible for causing the problem.
Let's go with Analyze This.
All right, a pet that went missing during a camping trip in Yellowstone National Park turned up 60 days later on the streets of a California town more than 800 miles away. Benny and Suzanne Aguiano of Salinas, California, said they often take their pets with them on camping trips, but during a June trip to Yellowstone, one of their pets, named Rainbow, 2 separate words, was spooked and disappeared into the trees. Now, the couple said they spent days searching for it, but eventually they had to go home without him. Well, the Anguinos, they received a message 2 months later from Pet Watch, revealing that Rainbow was at the Placer SPCA in Roseville, California, more than 800 miles away from Yellowstone. The SPCA said the animal had been brought in by a woman who found him wandering loose. Anyway, the couple said they do not know how Rainbow managed to travel so far, but they're hoping someone will come forward with the story. In the meantime, the question is, what was the pet that disappeared? Was it a dog? Was it a cat? Was it a cockatoo, or was it a macaque? A dog, cat, cockatoo, or macaque?
Oh, what do you guys think?
I think don't bring your pets to Yellowstone. That was my initial thought.
I think about a macaque a lot. I'm going to go cockatoo.
See, and I
or three. I'm not sure.
I'm playing logic on this one. I don't know why you would take a bird to Yellowstone, but
why would you take any of the pets?
Well, I mean, I took my dog on our trip to Yellowstone just so we wouldn't have to worry about anybody taking care of him when we left.
Did you camp though?
I mean, no, we stayed in a cabin.
These people camped.
I don't know that dogs are allowed in national parks.
I'm going to put my money on it, Miles. I think it's dog.
I don't think you can take him on a trail. You can keep him in the car.
I don't know.
I'm going to go. I'm going cockatoo.
Mike, you're going dog.
All right, Mike's going dog. John, what are you thinking?
Let's go with cockatoo.
Cockatoo as well. Okay. We're going to find out what animal traveled 800 miles away from Yellowstone. Was it a dog, a cat, a cockatoo, or a macaque next?
That was a tease.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Category is Analyze This on Profile This. We got a pet that went missing in Yellowstone Park. Ended up in California, 800 miles away. Yeah. Before someone found it, I guess, on the side of the road. Question is, was that pet a dog, a cat, a cockatoo, or a macaque?
And, John, that's the question we posed to you. Let us start with Mike Hawk. He broke the law and brought it. Well, okay, this is what I found out from the text.
Did you check the law?
I didn't check the law. I go by text because that is all the pertinent information I need. So apparently, I don't know if it's just Yellowstone or national parks, but dogs cannot leave the pavement, in national parks.
Okay. Well, you can still take them to Yellowstone.
You can. You just can't take them to Yellowstone, right? Just do your thing. So, no, Mike, it was not a dog. And, John, you agree with Miles and went with the old cockatoo. I'm assuming just because it's fun to say. It was not a cockatoo. It's the pet everyone should bring to Yellowstone when you're camping, a cat.
Oh, geez.
You're kidding me. They brought, and apparently that's not their only cat. Just understand, when they camp, they have several cats. This one got spooked and ran off into the woods.
It got spooked in Yellowstone, you say?
Because it's a cat. The cat's like, the things I'm smelling, why am I here?
I don't get it.
Who takes their cat
I think someone
camping?
Somebody put that cat in a car. Somebody tried to take that cat with him. I guarantee you.
No, I think they
800 miles?
Oh, from Yellowstone out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, hitchhike.
No.
Now for all TV news all the time, it is time for TV Time with Ted.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
What would you guys say, in your opinion, is probably one of the better singers that you've known throughout your life? You guys are big music fans. You've heard different bands. It doesn't necessarily have to be any type of genre, but noticeably one of the best singers that you guys have probably heard.
It's funny. We made fun of him earlier on Sit and Spin. Seal, I believe, has a very singular voice. Ronnie James Dio, well, it's kind of funny as I get older, man. Like, there was no question.
No, the talent that he had and the control that he had in that voice. Absolutely.
Corey Glover from Living Color. They do have more than one song.
Chris Cornell.
Beautiful voice.
In my mind.
And you know, man, honestly, Ian Gillian from Deep Purple. I love that dude's voice. I don't know if it's the best, but I just dig his voice.
Phil Lynott.
I will say she's had a resurgence thanks to TikTok, but Celine Dion, the more I listen to different little clips of her, like, same thing. The amount of control that she had. You might not like her music, but her ability.
I respect her voice. Obviously, that woman can sing her ass off. She just never sings a song remotely that I want to hear. But that said, I recognize the talent.
Have you seen the times that Carrie Underwood jumps up on stage with Axl Rose and did Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Like, her range, as far as, I know what she does in the country world.
Incredible.
But I mean, as far as just actual talent from your voice,
yes.
I mean, that's pretty tough to
beat. She recently teamed up with Jacoby of Papa Roach, if I'm not mistaken, and they made a song together.
Really? You know, it was a fantastic voice, and I did not know when she exploded onto the scene, it was all the pop stuff, but Lady Gaga.
Oh, yes.
So my
Christina
wife,
Aguilera.
She was watching the documentary, and I was going to blow like Lady Gaga, whatever. But they showed her backstage warming up with her backup singers. I looked at my wife and said, if she can sing like that, why does she put all the effects and crap on her voice? It's a fantastic voice. Yeah, that's true.
Because now you're watching.
Well, when you wear a dress made out of meat, yes, I'm looking. I don't care who you are.
Well, I'm going to take us right up the road to Vancouver, where Canada's own Michael Bublé is making headlines.
Is he from Canada? I didn't know that.
He is from Canada.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Actually, when my wife drugged me up to Vancouver to go and see the Jonas Brothers up there, he was in the audience, and he actually did play a little song up there on stage during the show. It was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
He's got a great voice. I actually started listening to Michael Bublé after that. But he finally made his debut as a coach on The Voice last night. He'd been offered the gig for at least 15 times over the years, and he's always turned it down. Why? Because, quote, most of the singers are better than me, and I have no place ever judging anyone. But apparently he finally figured out that coaching isn't the same as judging, because he now says, quote, to get to coach them and live the fantasy of having this career that I've had, and then get to have the fulfillment of helping someone else get that, that's the cool part.
Well, can you be a coach of anything and you're better than the person you're coaching? At that level, there's not an NFL coach that's going to go out there and play. There's not a baseball manager. There's not, you might have some greatness behind you. So I won't take away what you've done. But at the moment that you are coaching, there's a very good chance that the person you're coaching
I know we're leaving
infinitely better.
I'm trying to think of a good male vocalist right now, as far as the range and your ability to sing.
Yeah.
Brent Smith from Shinedown.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. There's a guy that can hit it all.
Absolutely.
He's unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, even if he just came in and did an acoustic thing, I mean,
he crushes it.
It's you're mesmerized by how
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and the training that he does and what he's proud of when it comes to his new music, and always kind of pushing his limits of what his voice can do and what he can do with it.
Yeah.
100%. Back to Michael Bublé. I appreciate the humility of saying that these singers are so much better than I am. Mm-hmm. You're Michael Bublé. They want to be like you, like
success,
right? No matter what genre they're getting into, you can't deny Michael Bublé's talent.
Well, but the tricks. It's like I said, if you're a coach, it's like he said, there's a difference between judging and coaching.
Right.
So as a coach, the one thing that you can do, being that you've been professional for 20, 25, 30 years, you know how to do the runs. You know how to protect your breath. You know how to expand your diaphragm. You know when to hit the high notes. You know when to go. Amateur singers, they might have fantastic voices, but the difference between being amateur and professional, a lot of times, is not so much where your voice is, but what you can do with it.
Yeah.
You can have a rocket arm in football, but if you're not accurate, nobody cares.
It's like being a professor in business. You don't have a successful one. But hopefully you can tell me how to.
Exactly.
And if you can do that, then you've done your job.
And with the voice, the only real judging part that you get is the blind auditions, as it were, where that's really his only spot as a judge.
Yeah, everything else. Snoop Dogg is one of the coaches.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Nice. Now,
his voice is not he has a better singing voice than most people know, but it still would not blow you away. But he knows how to coach.
Right. So he's not one of the four in the chair, though.
Snoop Dogg is one of the four in the chair.
He's one of the four in the chair. Because I know that they'll bring on
Reba McEntire, it's Gwen Stefani, it's Michael Bublé, and Snoop.
Man, the show's changed.
It definitely has.
Because when I left, it was still Adam Levine, Blake Shelton, Christina Aguilera, and CeeLo Green.
Yeah, CeeLo. One would never happen.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
He just went away there.
You to leave.
Okay, but I knew that they would also bring on some other celebrity coaches, as it were. Be on your own coach.
Sure. No, they're the four in the chair this year. So
nice.
Snoop, Bublé, McEntire, and what's her face, Stefani.
Which she's got a time.
Who's doing a country album now?
Apparently she's not. She has a country song. I just read today. She's like, it is not a country album.
Country's the new hotness, man. Everybody's making a new country album.
Yeah, because it's the thing to do.
Right. You got Beyonce. You got Post Malone now. Yeah. 100%. I'm in.
Although I did bring up, didn't Blake Shelton step away from The Voice from a little outside pressure from the wife? He's like, hey, spend a little more time at home with the family. His wife being Gwen Stefani.
Right.
Who's now back on The Voice. Now, how does that work?
Well, I wonder if he was also doing touring and also working on his own album, and I don't know. Then again,
I don't know
what Gwen Stefani's doing. So you're right. You know what? Point made. Point validated. Sticking with game shows here, I know that you guys were looking for it, and I know that you guys are both Max subscribers. But good news. A Friends game show will air on Max.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Max found a new way to celebrate/exploit the 30th anniversary of Friends with a game show. It's called Fast Friends, and it'll have fans doing puzzles and games and answering trivia questions on sets from the show, like Central Park or the characters' apartments. Production begins next month. There's no word yet on an air date. I
think when this show was popular back in the day, if you'd asked me, I would have never guessed the longevity and the amount of fans and how long this show would still be popular with so many people, because I just didn't think it was that great.
It was fine.
But it was okay, but
how long can the game show go on?
That's kind of because
You know what I mean?
it's not necessarily a Friends game show. It is playing games on the Friends set, from what I can see. They're going to be doing puzzles and games.
Okay.
Now, they might have some Friends theme. I'm sure that they will have a Friends theme to it. But at the same token, it's like, is this too much?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it depends what they're looking at. If they think this is going to last forever, and look, I don't know, but if they think it's going to last forever, this is a long-term solution to programming, I would vehemently disagree. But if it's a quick stopgap, hey, let's get one good season. But the other thing, too, is knowing how these things work. Let's start with Friends. This is big. We get a season and a half out of it. All right, well, let's take Cheers. Let's take Frasier.
Sure.
And just make it a thing where you go through this, right?
Right. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a Friends game show.
But if
the fact that
this
it's called
works,
Fast Friends. But.
Hell, you can put on Simpsons. You can put on Family Guy. You can put on South Park, right?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, Sopranos.
You
right?
bet,
In
dude.
theory,
The
you can do
Wire.
this with any show. Yeah.
Right. NCIS, longest running show.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. Look, I understand the popularity of Friends, but I also need to remember that the Friends fan base is rabid.
It is.
They love everything involved with Friends. Friends can never do any wrong. There are people that
Kind
love
of like
Friends.
Golden Girls.
Love
Right.
Friends. Yeah. Well,
have you ever heard anyone talk crap on Golden Girls?
No, but I've heard people talk crap on Friends. Because there's some people that they say as soon as you get rid of the laugh track, Friends is not funny.
But also it didn't have Betty White.
Right.
National treasure.
Now, I think that's why Golden Girls is protected, but I don't think near as many people watched it as did Friends.
No, there's no way.
But yeah, I'm with you on that one. So let's spin the gears here. Something else that nobody asked for, but Freddie Prinze Jr. is officially going to return to the upcoming Legacy sequel.
Thank God.
Do I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Legacy sequel.
He
Don't
played.
you have to change the name at some point? I still remember what you did 12 years ago.
Is he married to Sarah Michelle Gellar? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, they've been married for a long time. I know they have kids and everything else.
They did Scooby-Doo together, and I wonder if that's where they found each other. That was Fred and Velma did. Or Fred and
Daphne?
Fred and Daphne, yeah.
It may have been.
That worked.
Which is kind of funny because even when I was a kid, it's like, Fred and Daphne.
They're knocking boots, you bet.
Because it's always, you three go this way, we're going to go this way. I'm like, they're in the back of the van making it.
Is that a movie or a television show?
It's got to be a movie. Freddie played Ray Bronson in the first two films in 97 and 98. Jennifer Love Hewitt is also in talks to return, but has not been confirmed yet. Get Jennifer. This will be the fourth movie in the franchise, so yes, it's going to be a movie. There's also a TV series that was that was made in 2021.
I'm still better at those things you did 2 decades ago.
There aren't any plot details yet. It's expected to hit theaters next summer on July 18th, 2025.
Okay. I'm going to make one called I Know What You're Doing Next Summer. It's really going to blow people's minds.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're about to do, so I'm going to set some things up. Let's keep talking some horror movies. We are moving into the spooky season, and sometimes Hollywood just can't let it go, and they like to remake things. So these are the 10 best horror remakes. Honorable mentions of the bottom 10. You've got the Mummy remake. You've got The Last House. You've got The Last House on the Left. You got It, Chapter 2.
Okay.
Which arguably...
That's not as far as remakes go, sure.
Yeah. Halloween from 2018.
I did not see the remake of it.
It didn't feel like a remake because the Rob Zombie was what I would believe to be a quote-unquote remake because it kind of started it over. Whereas Halloween from 2018, I feel like was an extension. It was like the next one in the series. Night of the Living Dead shows up. House on Haunted Hill shows up. Horror of Dracula. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre for 2003. Of course, there's been
but the first one was so
remakes of that.
campy. It's kind of hard to replicate the quality of just campiness.
I still haven't watched the original.
By quality, you mean lack of. I mean, but that's kind of
it's like Death Race. They try to
you cannot
replicate.
You
what
can
the original
replicate
was.
it if you say your budget is $1,500.
You know what I think they should bring back, man? And I know it's ridiculous, but when we were growing up, there was a series called Faces of Death.
Oh, yes. That was an awful show.
And the host was Richard B. Gross.
Yes.
And a lot of those stories, all right, were not, they were fictitious.
Right, just urban myth.
Gotcha.
Yes, but you could do that show based on real life. I mean, you could do it right now. I mean, hell, even with that submersible. There are things that...
take it from their point of view.
Take it from the standpoint of, look, this is not going to be a show where, it's not going to set easy, but these were situations that people were put in real life. Even if it's a guy got caught in a boulder and they made a movie off and sawed off his arm.
But they do it with air disasters.
Yeah.
And not end well, ever.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers also showed up as well as Cape Fear. Top 10. Number 10 being Evil Dead from 2013.
I did not see the remake. I remember seeing the original one, and even though it was low budget, I'm like, this is a creepy ass movie.
I liked the remake. I also liked the most recent sequel to it, Evil Dead Rises, I believe is what it was. Still very, very... Now, they took a more creepy and actual scary route to it as opposed to the more campy nature of the originals, so I can see why some people might get upset about it there.
Well, but the thing is, Evil Dead was a serious horror flick. All the ones that followed that is when they got campy.
We're goofy. Yeah. And Evil Dead Rises was about ciabatta bread.
I love ciabatta bread, man.
It's terrible.
The Crazies showed up from 2010. That's Timothy Olyphant, I believe.
Yeah.
That's some sort of a disease that's going around. The Hills Have Eyes from 2006.
Yes, we do.
That was that was early on in my horror watching days, and that was one of the new creepy ones that went out there. It was a spooky movie. I never watched the original, but it was creepy.
Okay.
The Ring from 2002, which was a remake of the Japanese movie, which I believe that was my first horror movie that I ever watched.
It did well on that.
Fantastic flick.
I mean, it still resonates, man.
That one's still the one that makes me laugh because it's set out here in the Seattle area, and every scene is raining like it's coming down like cats and dogs out here. It's like this person is
not how it rains here. Yeah.
13 Ghosts, the remake from 2001. Can't say I've seen that one. Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992.
It was okay. It was okay.
Anybody see The Fly, number 4? Again, these are the best horror
The
remakes.
original was great.
Jeff Goldblum? No, the original was
maybe
50s.
that was
Goldblum was the remake.
Yeah.
That movie was intense.
I got to watch that one.
Yeah,
I gotta watch.
You can't
that
go
one.
wrong with Goldblum.
No, man.
Right.
It from 2017. I liked the It remakes.
I thought it was good.
I really did. I thought they did a great job. I didn't think that you could top Tim Curry, and Bill Skarsgård did a phenomenal job.
It's great.
Dawn of the Dead from 2004. I feel like that one's been remade like 7 or 8 times.
Right.
And then The Thing from 1982.
That was, man, I'd watch that any day of the week. That is a fantastic movie.
I agree with you. TV tonight, you've got Dancing with the Stars over on ABC. Oscars night, they say. America's Got Talent recap special at 8 o'clock over on NBC. Not to mention, you've also got a handful of Seattle sports that are on, just kind of going off the cuff here.
But you got big hands.
You've got the second game between the Mariners and the Astros over on Root Sports right now. We are currently up one game. The first game out of 3 in that series. We need each and every one of them. So to have won last night is big. Game 2's on tonight. You've also got the Seattle Storm on over on ESPN, I believe, or ESPN
Game 2 in Vegas.
Game 2 in Vegas. That starts at 7, and then you've got a little bit of Kraken hockey over on Kong at 7:30.
In Vancouver, is that right?
They are up in Vancouver taking on the Canucks.
Very good.
Good night for Seattle sports.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Now it's time to hit the headlines. Here's Mike Hawk.
All right, our top story. We go to the UK, where residents of Manchester are attempting to solve a mystery. Several calls came into the local environmental agency about a strange substance floating down a local river, a white foam that was bubbling up and blowing about the surrounding neighborhoods. Nobody's positive as to the origin of the foam, but nobody's particularly happy about it either, stating that it looked like it was snowing outside or that a foam party in Ibiza was floating by their homes. Calls to the environmental agency prompted an investigation, which is still ongoing.
I feel like it should not take long.
Right, it's foam in the water. Even if it's a natural occurrence, they'll find it.
Right, you take a sample.
Right, somebody poured a big old thing of Dawn in the water or something like that, you know.
I mean, who knows?
Right.
Big old foam party.
And, like, I understand people aren't exactly happy about it.
Right.
And we should find the solution to it or find the cause of it to make sure that it's not still going. Citations, whatever we have to do, but it's bubbles in the
end. If it's not a toxic thing,
correct.
That's the first thing to find out, right? So if it's not toxic, then you're like, I'm annoyed because there's bubbles in my yard,
right?
And I mean the chimpanzee bubbles.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't be so much annoyed. I think we'd be scared to death.
Yeah, man, I don't mess with chimps, bro.
Even if he's just happy in a diaper, like I'm freaking out if there's a doggone monkey back there.
Buy it.
No,
I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's just laying in wait over there.
Mm-hmm.
In other news, still in the UK, a local woman is expecting a month's worth of flowers to pour into her home after a misprint in the paper. She got a call from a friend one day asking if she was okay, after the friend was scrolling through the website of the local newspaper to discover the woman's obituary in their legacy section. After discovering the truth, the woman believes that the wires got crossed after her business was supposed to be featured in the celebrations section, but instead declared her deceased. She's since called friends to assure them that she's okay, as well as the paper to get the obituary taken down. She says that she's happy to be alive again.
Yeah, that's somebody called. She found it herself.
So a friend of hers found it, called her, was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Then she looked it up and was able to find it. I still don't know how that gets passed across. Maybe it's just your information. I'm so and so. I own this beauty shop, which is what she was owning. What they were basically showcasing. Local celebrations, and we got this local store over here. Here's Vanessa, who's got this beauty shop. But instead, I don't know how the wires get crossed where somebody grabs it like, "Oh no, she opened a beauty shop that I had no idea about that seems to have just opened, and now she's dead."
And now she's dead.
Right.
But at least it's an obituary and not a death certificate.
Right.
Once the government gets involved, like you can physically go with your passport, birth certificate,
Correct.
like, guys, I'm not dead. And they're like, yeah, but we filed the paperwork that says you're dead. So, who was the guy? Was it in this country or India or something?
It was like India.
The guy, for months. He's like, I am alive. And they're just like, no, we know you are, but we refuse to recognize it. So he started committing crime.
We don't want to do the paperwork to have to hold us back.
So his idea is like, what are you arresting me for? I can't possibly be guilty of a crime that you've acknowledged I'm not alive to commit.
And the fact that it has to go to that to force their hand is pathetic.
Well, that's what he had to do.
Right.
He's like, I've tried everything else. They're just like, we don't know what to tell you. Dead man.
Right.
We can't hear you. You're dead.
Over to Colorado, where a local middle school had an unwanted visitor. Teachers and students needed to be evacuated from one of the campus buildings after reports came in that a black bear cub had managed to wander into the cafeteria.
Hey, man, it's been a big year for bears in the news.
It's been a huge week for
really
bears
just
in the
having
news.
their time.
Local authorities were called as students and staff moved into another building, and the bear was quickly apprehended and moved back into its natural habitat, continuing the regular school day. Because you remember there was that teacher by the name of Salmon, by the way, that went to her classroom, and there was a bear in there.
Yeah.
There was I think there was another story about a cafeteria where there was a bear in there.
I kind of admire the bears for wanting to up their education.
They had a bear wandering the beach at Lake Tahoe. They're like 10 feet away from people. People were just like taking video of it. Here he goes, just wandering around.
And just in case those stories left the bad taste in your mouth,
thankfully there's good news.
Over to Billings, Montana, where a young man came back from a terrible accident. While out riding his bike one day, the parents of the 13-year-old got the devastating phone call that the young man had been hit by a car, suffering an injury to his head. Great phone call to get as a parent, by the way.
Yeah.
Following procedure out of precaution, he was taken to the hospital, though they didn't believe that he would suffer anything worse than a nasty road rash. But they soon found out differently. The boy started going in and out of consciousness and suffered nausea and vomiting, leading doctors to discover that he had suffered a skull fracture and brain bleed.
Jeez.
He was taken in for surgery, where he was patched up in a matter of hours, eventually waking up having no recollection of the accident. The next task was to get him back on his feet, which his folks were a bit skeptical about at the beginning, but just 3 short weeks after his accident, he was able to achieve his goal of attending the first day of school.
Awesome.
Hey, kids, if you're listening, I'm going to tell you that as a parent, that is our biggest nightmare.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, for a parent. But don't think for 1 minute that his goal was to go back.
No,
that's what he said.
I know what he's supposed to say.
Because his parents were there.
Don't think for 1 minute that's what he was thinking. He was thinking maybe one more weekend here.
And you know what?
I got Jell-O. I'm getting fed. I got a TV in the room. I feel fine. Do I really need to go back home?
Well, and then they did something in here that Miles has talked about a couple different times that I hate that they do now, because now that it's been exposed with, like, if he had gotten here just 30 minutes later, he had died. Like, do we have to know this?
That his appendix explodes.
Stop telling people.
It's always
right,
the story.
right.
Stop telling people that. The point.
Don't tell me how bad it could have been, because I'm thinking about how bad it could have been.
Have you ever had the boss yell at you because if you'd been 5 minutes later, you'd have been late?
No.
You know, like, but I'm not.
Yeah, do that in different situations, like the dentist. If I hadn't got this cavity right now, you would have died.
What?
Men's Room Sports, in the continuing battle between the Men's Room and the Daily Mix Morning Show, the KISW Fantasy Football League rages on. Needing upwards of 50 points to catch the touchdown tacos led by Taryn Daly and Sarah, the Big Black Hawks, captained by our own Miles Montgomery and myself. We're counting on both James Cook and the Buffalo Bills and Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals to do some heavy lifting. With a final touchdown pass in the fourth quarter by Joe Burrow, the Big Black Hawks secured the first place spot for the week in the Fantasy League. On the other side of the schedule, 90 pounds of D could not be caught by the Bowie Buddies, who benched DK Metcalf in favor of Jackson Smith and Jigba, which proved to be a costly mistake, putting them in fourth place for the week. So good news, Men's Room fans. Either Steve Miggs or Danny V of Daily Miggs will be joining us this coming Friday to put $325,000 on the line and take on the FCC. Tune in this Friday at 4:30 to hear it live. More Seattle sports. The Mariners locked in against the Astros last night to take Game 1 in an impressive 6-1 victory. They'll look to further advance in the division in Game 2, which is already underway en route with Logan Gilbert on the mound. I'm not going to talk about the game. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
On tonight, you got some preseason hockey. The Kraken are in Vancouver taking on the Canucks. Puck drops at 7 over on Kong. And Game 2 of the WNBA playoff series between the Storm and the Las Vegas Aces is underway at 6:30 over on ESPN. As far as your weather, we may have just bid a 70-degree temperatures adieu for the foreseeable future as clouds are moving in tonight to bring the rain. We can expect temperatures to cool down tonight to about 60 degrees with the rain starting up after midnight. Tomorrow will be ready for steady rain followed by some heavy rains in the morning and a damp, muggy high of 63. That is it for your headlines. With that, Mike Hawk is out.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time for the return of Who Sucks Less. The lovely Jolene is up next. Yes, indeed. It's all true. But in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch. So until next time, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith from the Men's Room. And did you know I have a podcast? Well, I do. The Podcast. New episodes uploaded every Wednesday on the Odyssey app.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're working from home. You settle in with a cup of coffee, ready to get the day started. Before you look at that to-do list, turn on your favorite Odyssey sports station on your smart speaker. We'll keep you company and bring you the latest updates from your teams while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Power through the workday with the entertaining sports coverage you love from the local voices you trust. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station.